Hey guys and welcome back to my channel. This is part 3 of What If Naruto was in Negima and was part of the Springfield family. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also go and support the author, link in description. Ha! Shouted Asuna as she swung her big sword down at Setsuna. Setsuna calmly rolled and shot up and went to disarm Asuna before she could follow up with her attack. Asuna saw this and performed a shundo to get out of the way just in time. Asuna got some distance so she could think up a strategy to win the spar the two were having, but Setsuna wouldn't give her time to think and charged. With little option left, Asuna used a move she had been practicing. Ugi, Zankusen, air-cleaving flash, and sent a shockwave at Setsuna. Setsuna, surprised at the use of her sword style's technique, quickly summoned her Roia's artifact to defend herself with two petals. After the excitement of the spar came down, Setsuna was first to talk. That was amazing, Asuna-san. To perform a Zankusen only after a month of training shows great skill. It was a bit sloppy, but still, when did you learn it? Exclaimed Setsuna in awe. Asuna blushed and scratched the back of her head in embarrassment. Well, I've seen you use it against Naruto when you two spar, so I've been training in secret to impress you guys. She finished with a smile. Setsuna nodded and continued to praise her as they walked to Kanoka so she could heal them. The bubbly brunette was so excited about the fight as well, and the three were talking amicably about it till Naruto came up to them. Guys, our time is almost up, so clean up and get ready for class, okay? He got a simultaneous yes from the girls as they went to clean up before leaving Eva's resort. It was a month ago that Naruto convinced Eva to let him train the girl there since he could train them better and safer from prying eyes. The girls really weren't complaining either, since to Asuna she was able to finish her homework faster for class and train too. The rules set were that for that every hour outside the resort was a day in the resort. Only after a whole day could one leave the resort. Naruto had set them up to having 1 hour before class and 2 hours after class dedicated for training, which was 3 days in 1 day. They had been doing this for a month and each were gaining many skills along the way. Asuna had learned Shundo and how to change her horizon to its sword form and back, along with gaining somewhat a good amount of control over her ki, and her kendo training had gone to great heights with Naruto and Setsuna training her. Naruto had even started to train her in secret on how to control her magic cancel. After several hours of deep meditation and accidentally falling asleep, she found it, but that was the easy part, Naruto said, as she had to pop a balloon made of pure magic. Let's just say that they were there for a while till she finally popped it. Still, Asuna attacked this challenge with vigor since Naruto said this was her gift and she would be damned if she couldn't control it. Setsuna already had the skills needed to fight and just needed to increase her strength and speed. She was now wearing 100 pounds on her body with a weight seal made by Naruto. Even flying with the extra weight had been increasing her stamina. Naruto had also taken the courtesy to increase her knowledge in charms by teaching her higher level defense charms and binding charms. Kanoka had improved the most in their minds. Her healing abilities had skyrocketed from the Kyoto trip thanks to her artifact with Negi, but she still said it wasn't enough. She felt so helpless when Naruto was hurt because she couldn't heal a wound of that magnitude on her own, so she kept pushing herself till she could reach that level. She added some offensive and capture spells to her arsenal to better protect herself also. She learned Magna Cataracta, Great Waterfall, Vinctus Aquarius, Water Binder, and Unden's Perry's Aquarius, Water Current Barrier, since water seemed to be her strong suit. During her training, Kanoka had a secret mission and she got Chamo to help her. The operation was known as the Kiss Kiss Naruto-kun. Of course Chamo was all for it and even suggested using Naruto's #1 weakness. Kanoka was shocked that someone as strong as Naruto even had a weakness. So they laid their trap and waited till Naruto got caught in it. It was a very simple trap, but it was so simple it was perfect. Using her new capturing spell, she used it on Naruto when he was at his most vulnerable, eating a bowl of ramen. Of course the spell only worked for 5 seconds since he broke it after getting out of his ramen bliss. But even during those few seconds the tag team won out and she even added tongue, much to Naruto's shock at the bold action. The card had Kanoka in her medic outfit with what looked like black gloves with round purple jewels on. Card's name was Medicinalis Dei Pur, Medicinal God's Child 1. It seemed to be a support type of artifact. It fit very well with her long-distance healing, bombarding, support role. The girls and Naruto walked down to the teleporter to see Eva and Negi training and then saw Negi getting hit with a Dios Tuco's spell. They then left and went to their rooms to get ready for the rest of the school day. Later Negi came into class zombified, which worried many of the girls. After class the Naruto Negi group, which consisted of Asuna, Setsuna, Kanoka, Kazumi, Kufei, Nodoka, and you came together. So what do you think happened to Negi-sensei? Questioned Kazumi. It's from his training with Eva-chan, and I tell you, that Naruto's is 10 times worse than hers. Said a tired Asuna. It's true, and we got to go back to training to Asuna or Naruto-kun will increase our workload. Said a tired Konoka. Asuna, Konoka, and Setsuna shivered at the notion. Hey, can we check out your training, to see where the team meeting point is and all? Said Kazumi, since she really just wanted to know where Naruto was so she could maybe get a Pactio like Konoka did and maybe see him training with his shirt off. Asuna nodded, and the trio led the other girls to Eva's house and pushed them on the teleporter to the resort and then stepped on it themselves and laughed at how they were all squished together. Zero with Chizuru and Natsumi. Zero. Oh, Chizuru stopped and noticed an injured puppy. Poor thing, she said and picked up the dog. Is that okay to do, Chizune, since he is all dirty? Asked Natsumi. Let's hurry home. You sure he should be here, Chizune? Natsumi asked one of her roommates as they settled into their home. I mean, he is a stray. Now that we had seen him, we couldn't just leave him there. Chizuru replied while drying her hair from the rain with a towel. I would like to see to his injuries, do you mind cleaning him up a bit? Gotcha, said Natsumi. Chizuru turned around for a second when she heard a scream, yeek. Natsumi, what's wrong? I just looked away for a sec, and then he disappeared, and, now there's a naked boy here. Natsumi replied, pointing at an ebony-haired boy that was all natural. Zero back at the resort. Zero. Setsuna had gotten to explaining the rules of the resort to the other girls as they witnessed Negi training with Eva. And the trio went to go train with Naruto. The ones who followed them were Kufei and Kazumi, curious to see where the blonde was. Alright girls, get back to what you were doing this morning and later we will do some team training. Said Naruto in a commanding tone. Kazumi and Kufei watched as the trio went to their own separate areas to train and the two sat near Naruto. What they training, Uru? Questioned Kufei. Kono-chan is training in her healing magic, Asu-chan is trying to learn better ki control, and Sei-chan is going through physical conditioning training. Said Naruto as he looked away from the book he was reading. Wow, sound pretty good, Uru. Sensei, can me join training too, Uru? Asked an eager Kufei as she watched the girls train. Naruto nodded as he saw no problem with it. Since you're more of a fighter than a mage, why not? Go train with Asu-chan and get a steady grasp on how to use ki. Someone like you is bound to make great use of it. He said, and she rushed off to train with her fellow Baka Ranger. Say, Naruto-kun, can you tell me some of your stories? I mean, you're bound to have one or two. Asked Kazumi with a lopsided grin, eager to get closer to the blonde. Naruto nodded and started to tell some of his more epic stories, and Kazumi loved them. It was getting late in the resort and Asuna ran into Negi. He started to tell her of how he first met his brother and father. The girls gathered around the book and watched as Negi explained his past. A second picture came up and it looked like Naruto. Eva looked around and saw the idiot leaning against a pillar and grinned as this was perfect. He was probably using a long-distance version of the mind connection spell since he looked to be concentrating. Miyazaki, new plan, read the idiot's mind. She whispered. The poor bookworm went into a panic at reading Naruto's mind, but the others built up the peer pressure and she did. The picture changed to a young-looking Naruto smiling, with a man with red spiky hair in a cloak facing front and a woman with long blonde in a long pink dress with her back to the picture, and each had a hand on Naruto's shoulder. The caption read, "If things didn't go to shit we could have been a full family, like we should have been. I really miss you, Mom. You were always the brains in this family. You would know what to do." The group was blown away. The woman in the picture seemed to be Naruto's and Negi's mother. Eva bit her lip as she wanted to see the woman's face and told the girl to continue since the idiot was thinking about her right now. The girls also agreed, wanting to know more about their crush's mother, or in Yu's case, curiosity, but the page turned black. He must have a spell that blocks others from reading his mind about that memory, but why? Mused Eva, as this was just another thing that intrigued her about the blonde idiot. The girls went back to Negi's story and ended crying at the end and told him that they would be willing to help him. Eva silently walked to Naruto, so that was her, huh? Naruto opened his green iris eye and looked down at her. Thought I would give you a small look, now figure it out yourself. I'm sure you've been bored even with training the Gaki. Eva grinned. I do love a challenge and I am curious at who managed to tame the bastard. Naruto snorted. Tamed? No, the man was whipped, Eva-chan. She even got him to call her mistress. Naruto laughed at the face Eva made and she fell on the floor in full-blown laughing with Naruto joining her soon after and then went to bed. 0 time share in resort ended 0. See ya, Asuna yelled as Negi and the rest of the girls ran into the rain on their way home. Naruto had let the girls go early saying it was a good day to rest but the rain seemed to still be coming down heavy. I thought they'd never leave. Eva sighed. Stop whining. Just admit you like them around since you're bored most of the time. Naruto retorted with a lopsided grin. Whatever, idiot, what are you going to do? I'm going to take a nap and continue working on your seal. Give me a week or so and it is done. Eva stopped in her tracks and looked at the idiot. She was going to be free soon and all because of the idiot before her. She continued walking inside and went to her room and let loose one small tear out of sheer joy. 0 in the Chizuru Cave 0. Who the heck is this boy? Ayaka demanded. She was irritated at the ebony-haired boy sitting across from her and next to Natsumi. He introduced himself to me by headbutting me in the stomach. Now Ayaka, calm down, said Chizuru. Don't you, now, me. Now who is this kid and why is he? Yelled Ayaka. Why, he is Natsumi-chan's younger brother, Katarao Murakami-kun, of course. Said Chizuru. Wah, both Natsumi and Katarao asked at Chizuru said. Your brother, right, Chizuru said looking at the two with scary vibes coming off of her. Bridge brother, right, Natsumi answered giving a mock salute. Katarao nodded dumbly. Oh, in that case, please excuse me. Apologized Ayaka. So what brings him to? Well, you see Ayaka, the truth is, back at Natsumi-chan's place, there's such a situation, you wouldn't believe it. And poor Katarao-kun, why, Natsumi-chan's the only one he can come to. Chizuru lied with fake tears, while Natsumi had an annoyed look on her face. Well, if that's how it is, Ayaka said a little unsurely. So is this the old lady who is in charge of the joint, or? Katarao asked Chizuru and Natsumi, while pointing at Ayaka. Ayaka had face faulted and while the other two sweat dropped. Oh old, I'll have you know I'm 14, why you? Ayaka shouted as she recovered. 14, no way, in dog years, maybe. This was met with Ayaka smacking Katarao on the head. She then pinched his cheeks and began to spread his face. Lu, look who's talking, you trash mouth, squinty-eyed, pointy-headed punk. Were you reared in a barn, or just the outhouse? A tick mark grew on Katarao's forehead and he reached out doing the same thing to Ayaka. Wak de Guanma. Ho Shiguanma, oh you no goo. Natsumi stopped them by separating them and holding Katarao. But Iancho, look, he's just a kid, Natsumi defended Katarao. Like that's supposed to endear me to him, why he is night and day compared to the angelic Negi-sensei. Will you shut your yapping already? Katarao shouted. Look, just get him out will you, this is a girls' only dorm after all. And with that Ayaka went into her room. I've never seen Ayaka so, Chizuru stated with a finger on her chin. You shouldn't have called her old, Katarao. Natsumi reprimanded the boy. Okay, fine, but if you wanna talk about who is oldest, Katarao agreed. You say something, Chizuru said threateningly. And nothing, both squeaked. She can be scary all right, Katarao thought. The group had never noticed the small hole on their ceiling. Looking down from the hole were 3 odd slime creatures. The girls and Katarao were eating but Katarao seemed to have an off face on, so Natsumi asked, something wrong Katarao-kun? It's just this, you know. I really never eaten at a table like this before, it feels like a family and, I like it. He said shyly. What a dreadful place Natsumi-chan's home must be, Chizuru said hugging the boy, placing his face into her breast. It's just fine, thank you. Natsumi shouted. The door bell rang. I wonder who can that be? I'll go check, Ayaka said. She walked to the door and opened it. May I help you? Yes, I would like to see the young man, there, said the old man who was outside in the rain. But what could you and he have to? Nothing that a pretty lady should worry about, but may you accept this rose? The old man smiled kindly and placed a yellow rose to Ayaka's face. A small trail of dust flowed into her nose. Oh, my, Ayaka said before she fell asleep onto the floor. The man then broke in and he walked into the room and spotted Katarao. Well, if it isn't Werewolf Boy, I trust you've been well. Why you're, exclaimed Katarao. 0 with Naruto and Eva 0. Naruto shot up from his sleep and felt a demonic being in the area. Eva came a second later and approached him. Idiot. Yay, I felt it too. I feel it near Negi, said Naruto as he got ready to rush off, but Eva stopped him. Let go, growled Naruto. Let's see if the Booya's training paid off and interfere if we have to, suggested Eva. Naruto stared at her for a moment and sighed. His older brother instincts were getting in the way of his reasoning. This would be a good test for Negi. Fine, but the second something goes wrong, it's dead, Eva, said a reluctant Naruto. Eva nodded and instructed Chachimaru to get them some umbrellas. 0 with Asuna 0. Is this the Academy Festival stage I'm on? Asuna asked herself when she was waking up. What is this outfit I'm in? Asuna shouted as she got a good look at herself. She was wearing nothing but a leather corset and matching underwear with a garter belt. Her arms were also tied by some slimy tentacles. Ha ha ha. I see you are awake, young lady, a dark voice said. Asuna looked towards the voice and saw Wilhelm standing there with a kind smile. The captured princess in her jammies wasn't what I quite imagined, so I took the liberty to change it. Ooh, you nasty old pervert, Asuna shrieked as she kicked Wilhelm's head. My, how nice to know Negi's friends are as high-spirited as he is. Wilhelm replied with a smile. Your nose is bleeding, moron, or haven't you noticed? Wait, friends, as in plural. Wilhelm pointed behind her and she followed his finger and saw 3 bubbles holding her friends. In the left bubble was a sleeping Setsuna floating in some sort of liquid. In the right one was Chizuru in the same situation as Setsuna. Finally in the middle bubble stood Kanoka, Kazumi, Kufei, Yu and Nodoka, all of whom were naked except for Kanoka. You guys. I invited all 7 to witness the upcoming fight. Hey you, little girls over there, Kanoka shouted to a trio of tiny little girls standing on stage. Can you let us out? There's no getting out of our special water prison. I'm Amy, the one with the glasses, informed them. Saramui, replied the one with pigtails, introduced herself. Purin, the girl with really long hair, also introduced herself. Be grateful we don't dissolve and eat you, Saramui told them. This is what you mundanes get for sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. She smirked at Yu and Nodoka. But why are you even doing this? Asuna asked Wilhelm. It's nothing personal. Our goal is to merely investigate the academy. However, Negi Springfield and Yukagarazaka Asuna are likely to be instruments to our ongoing mission, so. Me. Them. She remembered what Naruto told her and her eyes widened. You bastard. I won't let you use me like some puppet. Herman turned around with a raised eyebrow. So you know. How interesting, but you see how pointless it is. After all, you are nothing but a tool. Asuna wanted to cry for being called a tool but resolved herself and made sure she got her point across. Up yours, asshole. Naruto told me my power is a blessing. Like hell I'll let you use it as a curse. Herman went rigged at Naruto's name and growled. Ah yes, young Naruto-kun. Truly a frightening child he is. Did you know he and I fought once? No, so what is this, revenge cause Naruto kicked your butt? Wilhelm laughed and opened his jacket and shirt and showed a scar on his left lung that seemed to be the size of a fist. Do you see this scar? Naruto-kun gave this to me and it is a consent reminder how a boy the age of 11 beat me. He used some lightning technique that I have never heard of. It sounded like 1,000 birds chirping. He said as he closed his shirt and jacket. Just wait you old perv, he'll do it again, whispered Asuna to herself as she focused on finding her magic cancel so she could get out of this. It seems they've come. He then looked at Asuna. The connection between Negi-kun and myself are personal. Wah. Wilhelm was watching Negi chant and saw a barrage of wind arrows coming towards him. Very nice. He put his hands up in front of him and cancelled out the attack. Asuna flinched when Wilhelm did that. He deflected M. Katarao shouted as he landed. Magical barrier. No, it seems something cancelled them out. Negi replied. The two then landed at the top of the audience. Old man, we're here, said Katarao. Let them go please, said Negi. Negi, Asuna shouted. Asuna-san, what perverted things are they doing to you? He asked embarrassed. It's not what it seems. The other girls then cheered that arrived. Hey, isn't that the boy from Kyoto? Asked Yu. Katarao-kun, Nodoka gasped surprised. Who are you, anyway? Why are you doing this? Negi demanded. I apologize for the rough methods, but I just felt that, without the hostages, you wouldn't face me with your full strength. Your full capabilities are what interest me. Actually, if you are able to defeat me, I will return the girls. That is the only condition. What else is there to say? Ha. Is that all we got to do? That's too easy, said a confident Katarao. I have no time for this, my students need me, thought Negi. Right, I'm going in. Katarao-kun, you stay back. Negi ordered his friend as he put his staff on his back. What? Katarao shouted. You can't do this, why don't you be the one to stay back? Oh yeah, you're one to talk, that old man beat you, said Negi. Zero with Naruto and Eva in a tree. Zero. The two sweat dropped at the so-called rescue team. Idiots, the both of them. Remind me to teach Negi some teamwork exercises, Eva-chan. Eva nodded at the notion since the two boys seemed to be fighting each other instead of the enemy right in front of them. Zero back to child violence. Zero. So energetic, that's good. Still, I think you'd be better off taking me as one. Wilhelm offered his advice. He then snapped his fingers. Negi and Katarao were surprised when they saw Saramui and Amy behind each of them respectively, while Purin held their legs. Amy and Saramui both kicked, sending the two down the rows. Rolling on the floor, they recovered as the three girls attacked again. I thought you didn't hit girls, Katarao-kun, asked Negi. Girls? No. Amoeba girls on the other hand, I got no problem with, said Katarao as he punched Amy, sending her into Purin. Cantus Bellix, Negi shouted as he covered himself in magic. Saramui came up and fought Negi, and as they clashed, Negi saw an opening. Double open palm strike, said Negi. He thrusted the slime girl. Not bad, she exclaimed with a smirk. Whoa, Negi, what was that? Katarao asked with a smile. Huh, oh, just a spell that helps provide magic during combat, Negi told him. No, the technique. What school? I don't recognize it. It's Chinese martial arts. Ha 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 ha, Chinese martial arts, I should have known. The two boys continued to work together to fend off the Slim sisters. Let's not bother with them. That old guy is our only target, said Katarao. Negi had gotten his wand out and pointed it at him. Satita Magica Una Lucis. The arrow shot out of his wand got cancelled when it reached him. He negated the spell again. Negi went and spun around Wilhelm, staring straight at his back. This one, we win, Negi proclaimed as he aimed the bottle at the old man. Legina Signatoria. The bottle uncorked itself and began to suck in Wilhelm. Then something went wrong. Hyahhhhh. Asuna let out an ear-shattering scream of pain as the spell hit Wilhelm. She fell to her knees screaming in pain. When the spell stopped, Asuna's pain died down. Zero with Naruto and Eva. Zero. Naruto let out a growl and was about to charge in when Eva stopped him. Naruto glared death at the girl, but she wasn't intimidated. We need to let them resolve it or they will never learn. Naruto just grunted and continued to watch, not liking that. Zero back to Mortal Kombat. Zero. The ceiling spell's been neutralized, Negi said in shock as the bottle hit the floor. I'd say the experiment's a success. Well, I'd say it is time I got serious. Please don't tell me you're done, Negi-kun. What? Katarao shouted. So this is you, serious, old man? Wilhelm replied by sending multiple punches to them with demon energy. Without the bottle, what else can we? Come on, Negi, let's grind. I am down, said Katarao. Negi nodded and started to chant his white lightning spell, while Katarao focused ki into his hand. When they both finished, they sent their attacks towards their opponent. Wilhelm once again cancelled the attack, and Asuna absorbed the pain. How is he stopping our attacks? Negi gasped. Magic cancel. The ability to nullify nearly any magic spell. How can such a mundane girl such as Lady Kagurasaka Asuna have such an extremely rare and extremely dangerous? She has. Shut up. I am not mundane, you old bastard. I'm special, just like Kanoka is. That's what Naruto said, as she tried to not concentrate on the pain she had. Wilhelm let out a growl at the blonde's name but said no further. Asuna-san, are you alright? Negi asked. I'm fine, Asuna said as she dealt with the pain. Compared to training, this was nothing. Just take down this old fart. Negi nodded. Chamo ran off to see if he could help Asuna. So, now you're unable to use any force-admitting spells against me. If you're a man, talk with your fists instead. Wilhelm then attacked, breaking the stands behind the two boys as they dodged. Negi tried to attack, but Wilhelm countered by punching his face. Chamo tried to help Asuna, but one of the slime sisters threw him in with the other girls. Wilhelm appeared before the two boys, focusing magic into his right hand and did a demon punch. And destroyed the bleachers, making the boys fly away from the force. Damn, he can use magic like a Western mage, Katarao said. Wilhelm appeared behind them and let loose a fury of attacks on them and kicked them away when he was done, slamming them into the stage again. Wilhelm let out a disappointed sigh. Dear me, don't tell me that's it. Kotarou and Negi stood up again, determination still written on their faces. Kotarou-kun, you okay? Negi asked. Course I am, stupid. Let's go. The two then rushed an attack simultaneously. But Wilhelm blocked their moves with one hand. No, I misspoke. The old man paused as he punched Kotarou across the theater. I'm thinking now, Negi-kun, that. Kotarou let out a grunt. You're not giving it your all at all, are you? What was that? I swear, I'm fighting for real, all right. Negi replied. Are you now? Wilhelm asked. Dear me, I heard that the sons of the Thousand Master were good. I had looked forward to meeting you. But you are nothing like your father and brother, ill-suited for battle. Why is it you even fight? Wilhelm asked. What do you mean, why? Negi repeated, confused. All right, take Kotarou-kun for example. He fights because he enjoys it. Do you fight for your friends? How mundane. One should fight for oneself. Hate, anger, revenge, those are the emotions one should fight with. Fight for the pleasure of the fight. Fighting isn't supposed to be for pleasure. Negi said. How about involving your students in your affairs, or your sense of duty to save them? Or perhaps the reason you fight is to escape the memories from that night in the snow? Wilhelm asked with twisted glee. How do you know that? Negi stuttered with wide eyes. See, 'cause I don't, at all, In that case, do tell me, how this strikes you, instead. Said Hermann, taking his hat off. Ha, 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 I trust you're enjoying this. I'd say so from your face. You know how it is these days. I'm a demon, you say, but all they do is laugh at you. Why, you're... Indeed, it is I, Negi-kun, whom you seek, said a demon-faced Wilhelm. Of all the demons summoned that day, I alone came from the higher ranks. The one who petrified your uncle, his friends, and who destroyed the village. I did it, but I was beaten by that old wizard and your cursed brother. Nay, Negi, Asuna said in shock. How about it? Now do you find your reason to fight? Negi was breathing sharply and stared at Wilhelm as if in a trance. Negi, you okay? Negi, hey, snap out of it. Nay, Kotarou asked his friend as he got to him. Negi then charged and appeared in front of Wilhelm, his fist already cocked back. He did multiply palm thrusts and sent Wilhelm into the air. He followed up with a punch, elbowed him in the gut and then kicked him away. All the spectators were wide-eyed at what was happening. How'd he move like that? Kotarou shouted. Magic power overdrive, Chamo exclaimed. Wah, all of the girls shouted. He hasn't been fully trained, he has a lot of potential, and should his excess power be triggered and released all at once, he beat Evangeline the same way. Negi threw another punch, sending Wilhelm to the ground. Using his staff to stay airborne, Negi flew at his opponent. Ha 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 ha, Wilhelm laughed hysterically. Wonderful, perfect, now this is a son of the Thousand Master. Kotarou was watching the scene, shaking. Still he, Negi. You can't keep fighting like this. Negi was about to attack again as Wilhelm turned into his demon form, ready to petrify the boy. Negi, Asuna shouted. Negi snapped out of his attack as he saw Wilhelm about to fire. Kotarou grabbed Negi and both crashed into the ground. As they got up, Kotarou punched Negi in the face. You idiot! Kotarou shouted. KK Kotarou-kun, Negi stuttered, rubbing the part he hit. Idiot, don't you realize, no matter how much power you use, it's pointless without a plan. So you got a lot of magic, so what? From what I saw, that fight blew. You didn't look around, you got one good shot in, but the way you were going about, even I could have beaten you. Negi then began to feel in pain. Zero with Eva and Naruto zero. Naruto sighed in relief and stared at Kotarou and wondered how much he reminded himself from how he was in his first life. Eva noticed his stare and spoke. Does the puppy interest you? Naruto smirked. I think I may have found an apprentice to pass my skills to. Oh, the idiot getting an apprentice, the world must be ending. Eva chuckled with a grin. They seem to be rivals, why not see who can have the better apprentice? Eva-chan. Naruto said in a playful tone. Eva hemmed and nodded. Fine, idiot, let's see which Booyah becomes stronger. Zero, back to the fight. Zero. Asuna was concentrating on her magic cancel. This bastard had the nerve to use it against her friends. Like hell he would get away with that. She found finally it and sent it to her slimy bindings and they dissipated. She pulled that damn necklace off, and suddenly her Pactios activated even with not having the cards with her and her outfit changed to her white one she got during Kyoto. 0 with Naruto and Eva 0. We said we wouldn't interfere, said an annoyed Eva. Well, she needs her gear to win, so why not? Naruto said, smirking. 0 with Asuna 0. You're going down, Asuna shouted as she changed her horizon to its sword form and sliced the Slime Sisters and cut the water prison and freed the girls. As the Slime Sisters were reforming, Yu and Nodoka sealed the within the magical bottle. Kufei went to save Chizuru, and Kazumi and Kanoka went to save Setsuna. Yu, shouted Asuna at the demon, who was shocked at her being free. You think you can use my gift for your own perverse needs and use it against my friends? You are dead wrong, freak show. Now get ready to take your beating, you bastard, Asuna said, charging at Herman. Asuna started with a flurry of sword slashes and had the demon on the run. As he got cornered, he went for a punch. Asuna saw this and lodged her sword into the ground and leaned on it for support and used her right gauntlet to make a red energy shield. As the Herman pulled away, Asuna quickly placed her left foot on her sword and charged her ki into it and shot forward, and with a shout of impact, her punch connected in his face and threw the demon into the air with a blast of red energy. Negi, Asuna shouted. The boy nodded and performed his new spell, Ros Telephone Ma Sher Magister Kenetetos Astrapsido de Temedo. Dios Tychos. As the spell hit the demon, he fell to the ground and looked at Negi and told him to finish the job. I don't think that I will finish you off. No. You were only summoned 6 years ago. You could have hurt the hostages, but you didn't, and it seemed you weren't giving it your all either. To me you don't seem so bad. I don't, do I? I could be very bad, you know. I am a demon, after all. Indeed you are, said a voice in the distance. Chidori Iso, the voice said as a spear made of lightning hit Herman in his left lung. Out of the shadows Naruto came walking with a blank face as he stared at the now pinned demon. He continued to walk forward, and every step he took the spear drove deeper into Herman and shocked him. Naruto-kun, what a pleasant surprise. Come to finish me off with the same technique you used on me before. I must say you have deeply improved on it, and in the same spot no less, said Herman, appraising Ly, even with the technique lodged in him. I'm sorry, but if Negi can't finish you off, I will. As someone who witnessed you take pleasure in those you tortured and attacked 6 years ago, I will purify you. Ni-san, but he was summoned, said Negi. Naruto turned around to face Negi. Negi, could you face Anya and tell her that you meet the one responsible for her greatest pain and say you let him go? Naruto said in a quiet tone. Negi froze at that. Anya's mother was petrified that day, and she could have as well if his brother hadn't saved her. His brother had done everything to make the girl happy and feel the love she lost with her mother, even moved her into their home with Nakan and him so she wouldn't be alone, and trained her to defend herself like he did with him. She was Naruto's little sister in all but blood. Negi realized that he may be at peace with it, but to Anya it was the worst day of her life as much as his. A loose tear fell from his eye at how he could forget about that fact. It was one of his reasons he wanted revenge, but his brother had beaten that line of thinking out of him when he told him a story at how a boy sought revenge and how he ended up with nothing but hate and darkness at the end of his path. Ha 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 ha. You are indeed correct, Naruto-kun, but before you purify me that the young Kono over there has the very power to save those who I petrified that day, said Herman. Peef, you idiot, do you think I didn't know that? Kono-chan has the ability to be the greatest healer to ever exist, and I plan on having her reach that level, said Naruto as if he was stating the obvious. Kanoka blushed at the praise she was getting. Naruto leaned down and whispered into Herman's ear, who sent you? The demon chuckled softly and coughed up some blood. Since you have me, Naruto-kun, I suppose it wouldn't be so bad as to tell you. The ones who sent me the first time. This is for using my princess as a tool and hurting my little sister, Naruto whispered back. The man broke out into laughter, and Naruto slapped a high-level purifying charm on him and he turned to stone and shattered into dust. The irony. 0 The next day 0. Negi was sitting on the railing in front of the world tree. Wilhelm managed to get purified from his brother, and he was training Kanoka to save all those who were petrified from that day. Since then, Negi sat down thinking of what to do next. Negi, shouted Naruto as Negi turned to see his brother with Katarao beside him talking about the fight. Yo, he greeted. Listen, I was released from prison due to this incident. I've spoken to the warden already, Katarao told him. However, since I'm one of the higher-ups here in the academy, I was told to look after him. Sorry for not helping sooner Negi, but I needed to see what you guys could do on your own. Naruto said with a sad look. It's okay Ni-san. Because of that I got to see how strong I really am as well as make my decision. Oh, and what is that? Naruto asked curiously. I'm going to be a combat mage like Chu-san and Ni-san. Oh really now? Naruto asked with a grin along with Kotaro. It felt right fighting like that, especially when helping out my friends. That's right, 'cause guys should fight with their fists. Kotaro exclaimed, pumping up his hands. Neg, you remember the story I told you about revenge? Naruto said in a serious tone. Negi turned serious too and faced his brother. Yes Ni-san, I will not follow that path and end with nothing but hate and darkness. I have Oni-chan, you, Anya, Kotaro-kun, and all the girls to be with and protect since they are my precious people. Naruto smiled and ruffled his hair and turned to Kotaro. Ya know Kotaro, you're Negi's rival right? Yay. And I have no doubt you'll get strong, but, with Negi having a master and all, he might leave you in the dust. Wah, no way Oni-san, I'll train till I drop every day, said Kotaro as he crossed his arms in defiance. Yay, but you'll get a hell of a lot stronger with a master teaching you, said Naruto with a smirk, letting the pieces fall into place. But who am I going to find to teach me? Said Kotaro deep in thought as he agreed a master teaching him would be better. Kotaro-kun would need someone skilled with Eastern magic, ki, ninjutsu, and hand-to-hand combat. Mused Negi. What about Kaide-san? She's a ninja, suggested Negi. Yay, but she said she was only stronger than you right now. Soon you'll be stronger than her. Who else? Said Kotaro. Naruto was getting a tick mark on his head and bonked them on the head. Bakas, you got one asking right here. Seriously? The dog boy shouted. Wah, Ni-san, you said you couldn't train me since you had to train the girls, said Negi as he glared childishly at his brother. Yay, but I see something in Kotaro that only a few can truly bring out. Besides, me and Eva-chan have a bet on who can have the better apprentice, and since he is your rival and all, best take him under my wing and teach him. As he eyed Kotaro, wondering how strong he could truly get. Cool, I got the yellow flash teaching me. The Hanyu said in excitement. He only insulted Naruto during his fight with Negi to rile him up. He knew Naruto was strong, especially from all the gladiator fights he had done in the magical world. Alright Negi, now that I got a master, let's see who becomes strongest. Negi nodded with excitement. While he would love to have his brother train him, he knew that for some reason Kotaro caught his brother's eye and he would never really question his decision. And now he had a friend to suffer with him from the training of a master. From behind a building, Kanoka, Asuna, and Setsuna were looking at the trio mess around. Well, Naruto-kun saves the day again, Kanoka said. Zero at the airport. Zero. A beautiful girl with dark tanned skin and long blonde hair in a white sundress walks to a cab with a small suitcase. She smirked and looked into the sky and held up her Pactio card. Hope you're ready, Sparky, cause this princess is getting her night back. 0. 1. The medicinal god is referred to Apollo. Asclepius, Apollo's son, was a practitioner of medicine in ancient Greek mythology. The artifact's design came from Lutetia Alpine's boost device called Asclepius in lyrical Nanoa Strikers. 0. Omake. Animal Planet, Negima style. 0. Hello and welcome to Animal Plant. Today we will be observing the Kanoka. A bubbly and kind species that is actual devious and scheming for things it wants. Today we see her stalking her prey. Slowly the Kanoka circles her prey as he appears to be feeding. As she stalked closer, she hides as her prey turned and searched for any threats. Her prey was known as the Naruto. As the Naruto continued to feed, the Kanoka unleashed her trap. She then tackled the now tied Naruto. What's this? It seems the Naruto was prey for a mating ritual. See, as the Kanoka seems to be going to first base on her prey and he helpless stays there. What's that in the distance? It seems to be a wild Asuna and it is on the war path. Run. Run away. I'm not paid enough to sacrifice my life for this network. The image blacks out. 0. Thank you for the comments. Now I know you're all like, where is Naruto? But there are a few chapters where it will be Negi oriented just for the plot, but I will make it funny or as serious and awesome as I can. I will be having a poll soon on what to do for my third story. A few more teasers will be shown and I hope you guys and girls can help me out. R&R, no flames, peace off. 0. Ah, screamed a girl as she fell from the sky. She roughly landed on her butt in the middle of a forest. Oh wow 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 wow. Damn it Kami-sama, when you send me to a new world, can't you just land me on the ground? No, you have to do it from the air. Stupid deity, being a jerk. And why do I feel like I'm 10? This was Naruto Uzumaki, Kami-sama's knight-and-go-to person to solve her mortal problems without lifting a finger, cause she is lazy. Okay, where am I now? She said as she looked around. Vol. She turned to hear a squeak of some kind and saw a fox, a red, orange fox creature with 6 curly tails. Oh Kami-sama, what are you having me do this time? She said as she palmed her face. Currently Naruto, Negi, Asuna, Kanoka, and Setsuna were running late to class. Hiya, said a voice in the rushing crowd. They group turned to see Katarao in a school uniform. Katarao-kun, G-morning, what with the uniform? Asked Negi. I thought I'd transfer here officially. You what? Questioned Negi. Well, sure, Oni-san is making me his apprentice, then there's you, Setsuna, Asuna, and plenty of other powerhouses here. Said Katarao with a grin. I'm even looking for my own place, actually, so if you happen to know. Oh, but Katarao, aren't you living with us? Questioned Chizuru with a too-sweet smile. Chizune-chan. Panicked Katarao as Chizuru grabbed his head. So you know our Katarao then, do you senseis? Uh-huh, said Negi dumbly. Yep, I even made him my apprentice, Chizuru-chan. Said Naruto. Apprentice? Questioned Chizuru and Natsumi. Oh, like how Negi is learning from Ku-chan, best to have kids these days learn some self-defense Naruto lied smoothly with a smile. Oh, that's wonderful Naruto-sensei. It's good to know Katarao has a good male role model looking after him. The large-breasted girl said with a smile. We've heard he has no family, poor thing, she said as she suffocated Katarao with her breasts, and that is why we've taken him to our bosom, to raise him as our own. Nei-chan, don't, whined Katarao. Naruto gave a small chuckle as Asuna thought, seems the stray found a home. Suddenly both Negi and Katarao bumped into something. The two stared at 3 freaky-looking monsters. What th? Demons. Make way, comin' through, said the demon. Yay, it's the Mahora festival, said Asuna. Suddenly Zazie all dressed up in a circus costume landed next to Negi, Naruto, and Katarao. Negi-sensei, Naruto-sensei, I hope you come to our circus if you have the time. Zazie said with a smile. Oh, thanks. Negi said taking the ticket. Of course Zazie-chan, Naruto said. Wow, Negi, Oni-san, look at that. Katarao said pointing to the big sign that said Mahora Fest. Mainly this is a big collaboration between all the sections of the campus. There will be games, souvenirs, food. You name it and it will be there. Said Chizuru smiling. Man, this going to be awesome. Right Negi, Oni-san. Shouted Katarao. Yay, it looks like it is going to be fun. Said Naruto. I guess so, yeah, said Negi. Zero with Naruto, Negi, and Chamo Zero. This should be good for you Neg, since the academy never really had festivals. Yay, Naruto Aniki's right, said Chamo. I wonder what our class will be doing, questioned Negi. Who knows, but knowing our class it will be extreme, said Naruto. As they entered the classroom that got a sight to behold. Why, hello there, come on in, welcome to the Merry Maids of 3A Cafe, said Ayaka. Wah, exclaimed Negi with a shocked face. Naruto whistled, girls I think you just blew the competition out of the water. He said with a smirk, not really affected by their outstanding cuteness. We've decided to do a maid cafe, said Ayaka. The school doesn't mind if we fundraise, said Yuna as she pumped her fist. I myself am not sure what a maid cafe is, but I have assembled maid outfits for all of us, said Ayaka. Negi-kun, Naruto-kun, why don't you be our first customers? Here you go Negi-kun, said Shina as she poured Negi some soda. Thank you. Here Naruto-kun, I got some for you too, said Kazumi as she poured the blonde some soda. Thanks. Naruto turned his head and saw Shina asking Negi to pull a bottle opener from her cleavage and how Madoka charged him some ridicule's price. Alright, Naruto-kun, time to pay up, exclaimed Yuna. But Yuna-chan, I don't have any money on me. There must be some other way for me to pay, Naruto said as his face was in Yuna's and she was blushing up a storm as his hot breath tickled her nose. She stepped back to clear her head and some of the other girls changed into some more cute outfits. Well girls, I really have to say each of you look cute and hot all at the same time. Naruto said, giving a beautiful smile to them all, which made those after the blonde go weak in the knees and even those not after him. Well Sparky, you seem to be having fun, said a voice in a playful tone. Naruto turned around and rubbed his eyes. It was his friend and Pactio partner Theodora Basilia Helatus de Vespericemia, third princess of the Hellas Empire, in a white sundress, grinning impishly. He stared at her and then looked at what she was wearing and his eyes widened. He pointed his figure at her. You're not the real Theo-chan. Theo face faulted at that. Wah, you baka, of course it's me. No way in hell. The Theo-chan I know is the biggest tomboy out there and only wears dresses when she has to. Theo ran up to him and gave him a headlock. Who's a tomboy, you idiot blonde? She shouted. Naruto got out and stuck his face into hers till their noses were touching. You, ya crazy tomboy. Naruto shouted back. The two stayed like that till they broke out into laughter. Hey Theo-chan. Hey Sparky. They both said kindly to each other, and the girls were pissed at this girl since she was acting so close to their hottie of a sensei. Theo turned around the room to scope out any threats to her partner and froze when she saw her. The girl who managed to steal her partner's heart first. She knew who she was, Asuna Vesperina Theodonasia and Theofushia. From her partner she knew all about her past and her power, since she and Naruto trusted one another to no end, well except one little secret from her. In Theodora's mind, Asuna was the only real threat to her for the blonde boy's affection. Hey Naruto, who is she? Asuna said, sounding a bit harsh as she glared at the beautiful dark tanned skin blonde. Well, little girl, I'm Naruto's partner, she said with a smirk. Asuna's eye twitched at the little comment, since the older girl seemed to be staring at her chest. She was already on her shit list for that one. The magical known people gasped at the term partner, and the unmagical known people gasped in pure horror, thinking their hottie sensei was already hitched. Well Sparky, are you going to keep me waiting, or are you going to introduce me? She said as she crossed her arms. Yay, keep your dress on, or don't, since you hate them so much. I mean, I am perfectly okay with that, said a grinning Naruto. Peef, you're just like that pervert dad of yours. I don't know how your mom put up with him. She sighed. That was another shot to those after the blonde male. This girl seemed to know his parents and was friendly with them. They needed some kind of edge. Class, meet my childhood friend Theodora Basilia Helatus de Vespericemia. Theo-chan, this is my class, and the Nagi clone in the back is my little brother. Theo turned to see Negi. Wow, he really is the aka Baka's clone. Hope isn't as, how to say this, stupid, Naruto said plainly. Yep, that's the one. She nodded. Nah, he's smart, probably got mom's genes in the brain department. Though Ero-sensei would say he has the luck of the gods with all the eki things that happened to him. Theo shivered at the thought of Negi meeting Jack. The other's sweat dropped at how casual the two were talking about Negi's eki magnetism. Naruto-kun, I needed to talk to you about, said Takemichi as he entered the classroom and he spotted Theodora. Theodora-sama, a pleasure to see you again. He with a deep bow. This proved to put even more of an edge on the girls. It seemed this girl was royalty or something. Hey Michi, both Naruto and Theo said at the same time. What are you doing here? Questioned Takemichi, as the royal princess of the Hellas Empire coming here unannounced was a big deal. Theo shrugged. I felt like it, and besides I need to get this baka home. She finished as she pointed at Naruto. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. This chick was going down. No way they're losing their smexy hot hottie mchot sensei. Naruto's eyes got widened. Oh yay, I was only supposed to stay till Negi got settled, my bad. Naruto said sheepishly. Theo got a tick mark on her head. You're bad. You weren't around to scare my suitors away. I had to do it myself and it was getting tiring. That's the only reason you keep me around. To scare people for you, he said as he pouted. Well, you do it so well, so yay. She grinned. Naruto cried anime tears and went to hug Asuna, and she blushed at this as the blonde fake cried on her shoulder. This caused to irritate Theo. Asu-chan, only your tomboyishness can match that of the evil Theodoras. Quickly vanquish her, he said as he stood behind Asuna pointing at Theo. Asuna growled and bonked Naruto on the head. Who you calling a tomboy, blonde? Well, maybe she isn't so bad, thought Theo, seeing the two interacted with a grin. Takemichi saw Theo staring and backed away. he knew when a storm was coming and wasn't going to stay. "Never mind Naruto-kun, I'll do it myself, good luck," he said as he ran out the room crying for his friend's survival. "Michi, Michi, you traitor!" yelled Naruto. Naruto quickly turned around. "I need to see what he needed. I'll leave it you neg, may you die as you lived, and whatever the rest is." As Naruto ran out the room, the temperature dropped to 0 as Theo and the girls had a standoff. They stared until Asuna spoke up. "So, you're Theodora?" Theo grinned. "Yep, what, Naruto talks about me?" Asuna smirked. "Nope, not one bit." Theo growled but cooled down. "No way some brat would get the better of her. Well, I have heard about you and your little head problem," Theo said, tapping her head mockingly. Asuna's eyes went wide at that. She knew about her sealed memories, but he told you. A bit of panic in her voice. Theo stepped closer to her and whispered in her ear, "We are partners, friends since we were kids. We tell each other everything and don't go thinking just because you got him first, it means he's yours." Asuna blushed at that. "She got Naruto first." "What do you mean?" she whispered back. Theo stepped back and grinned. "She doesn't remember, perfect. You'll just have to remember, I guess." There was a bit of taunting in her tone, probably referring to the memory seal. Asuna growled and was ready to attack until Naruto entered the room. Naruto saw Theo and Asuna glaring at each other and sighed. He knew this would happen. "Theo-chan, I called the dean and he said you can stay with me and Sei-chan for the rest of the festival. Why are you two staring at each other? Oh, are you two going to make out, because that'd be so hot?" Naruto said with a grin, trying to redirect the anger at him, and it worked. "Baka," the two shouted and punched him on the head. "Owie, Kono-chan, please kiss it and make it feel better," Naruto said, referring to the lump on his head. Konoka giggled at his antics and did so with pleasure since it irritated Theodora. "Alright girls, I'm going to catch up with Theo-chan here. I leave the rest to you Negi, see ya," Naruto said, waving as Theo walked by his side and stuck her tongue at the girls before leaving. Negi and Chamo hid in a corner as the girls seemed to have this deadly aura around them. "That bitch is going down," said Asuna in a low voice. Eva was just enjoying the show, but she did hold some anger at the Hellas princess as well. If she knew the idiot's mother, maybe she could find out more and some embarrassing tales of the idiot. The other girls after the blonde Springfield were teaming up with their inner circles and forming plans to deal with this new enemy. 0 with Konoka and Setsuna 0. Konoka was currently wearing a military uniform and had one of her fans out. She was pacing back and forth in front of Setsuna, who sat idly while she awaited her lady's command. "Sei-chan, your mission is to investigate this, Theodora, and try to find any weaknesses she has. So we may strike her down and keep Naruto-kun for ourselves." "But Ojo-sama, don't you mean for you?" questioned Setsuna with a blush. "No Sei-chan, I see the way you look at Naruto-kun during training, well his sexy rump really, but I see you looking at it," declared Konoka. Setsuna started to sputter. Ojo-sama. I don't. I mean why?" Konoka sighed and patted her friend, servant on the shoulder. "I know how you love strong men Sei-chan, just admit it, it's easier that way." Setsuna turned scarlet and muttered something. I like Naruto-san," she said in a whisper while still blushing. Konoka glomped her friend with glee. Now she just needed Asuna to admit it and the four can be together, see, much better. "Now do you accept this mission?" "Hi, Ojo-sama." 0 with Yuna, Akko, and Akira 0. "Dang that blonde hussy, getting all up and close with Naruto-kun. How can I beat a childhood friend?" Yuna said, walking around their room. Akko's confidence was going down at the hope of getting the blonde sensei. She had just recently found out that Yuna likes Naruto also, but she has yet to talk to her about it. Only Akira knew her crush on the blonde, and she was watching Yuna also pacing around the room. Akira gave a quick nudge at Akko, telling her to speak up. Yuna, you like Naruto-sensei, right?" Yuna turned to her timid friend. "Yay." Akko started to fidget. I also like Naruto-sensei," she said in a quiet voice and closed her eyes. Yuna stared at her friend and sighed. This was big, as when two friends like the same boy was the kind of thing that could kill a friendship, and Yuna was never one to kill a friendship, but she really liked Naruto and she really couldn't blame Akko for liking him too. This sucked. "Okay, before this new threat we need to talk about this," Yuna said calmly. "Agreed," Akira said, not wanting her friends to fight over their sensei. "So what do we do?" asked Yuna. The three sat silently thinking about this, until Yuna got an idea and grinned. Share, she simple said with a naughty smile. Share, Akko and Akira blurted out. Yay, I mean we're friends right? Why not share an awesome guy like Naruto-kun? Yuna stayed as if it was a fact. But, that is so perverted, said Akira blushing. How so? You tell me a way that both Akko and me can be happy and keep our friendship. Besides, I have always been a little curious, said Yuna with a grin. Akko was scarlet red in the face and passed out at the thought. Zero with Kazumi Zero. Why am I doing this again? Asked Chisame. Because if you don't, that picture of you in a bunny suit is going to be spread around the whole campus, said Kazumi. Kazumi had blackmailed Chisame to search the internet on this Theodora and anything she could use against her. Fine, said Chisame trying to please the girl that could ruin her. That's what I thought, Kazumi said as she rubbed her camera thinking of ways to humiliate the blonde girl in front of Naruto. She gave an evil laugh, one that would make Eva proud. Zero training time for Katarao Zero. Katarao had always thought he had a lot of energy. He thought he could take a beating, but this training was ridicules. In the mornings he had to run around a desert, while reading a book on high-level charms and while dodging magic arrows from his master. Plus the 100-pound weight seals on each leg did not help with the dodging. And if he lost focus from reading, his master would use a medium-level or higher lightning spell on him. In the afternoons they spared and he would teach him weak points on the body and where to aim certain attacks ranging from killing blows to how to incapacitate quickly and silently. He was also teaching him a fighting style that relied on high-level speeds and bone-breaking power. It was called the Goken. Katarao had the speed, but he had to focus his ki to his arms and legs for the high-level power his master wanted. At night he would train in ki control and he would have to say that this was insane. He had to cut, not smash, not punch, not turn to dust, but cut a 10 by 10 foot block of stone with his hand and use ki to do it. It was impossible, he thought, but when his master did it in front of him he was awestruck, especially when he made a statue of himself out of the block. His master had said this was how he learned to fine-tune his ki till it was as sharp as a blade, and had finished saying by the time that he, Katarao, could do this on instinct he would be very powerful. Ow, I can't feel my ears. Is that normal? Questioned a down Katarao. Yes, said Naruto as he was reading a book. How did I do? Well, you got an inch longer than yesterday. So congrats, you're at 1.5 feet so far. Naruto said in a chipper tone. Katarao just groaned and blacked out from exhaustion. Naruto lifted him up and brought him to his room. He left to search for Theo and Eva, who had become friends as of late. He mostly suspected their talks consisted of bashing of his father for his perverted idiocy and his personal embarrassing moments. He saw them indeed talking and over some wine as well. Hello ladies. Oh idiot, I can't believe you got eaten by a dragon and came out the other side. Eva said, laughing the whole way. Theo, he shouted and blushed red. Oh come on Sparky, it was hilarious and you were asleep the entire time also. She said, grinning. So how was the puppy's training? Asked a curious Eva, still laughing at the story. Oh, it's going well, just need to buff out the kinks and lay the foundation and he should be set for the real training. Naruto said with a vicious grin. Eva returned it. I found it funny at how I'm the evil mage yet your training is scarier than mine at times. You enjoy torturing the pup, don't you? I had to deal with Jack Rakan as a sensei. My training was far from pleasant. He said with a shiver. Point. And I find it holy retribution at how I can train someone now and he has deal with my crazy training. Getting a bit sadistic there, are we? The chibi said with a raised eyebrow. All strong people are crazy in some way, people like you and I just hide it better than others. It's like the law of the universe. Naruto stated. I'm not that crazy, Eva said with a huff. Please, you chased after that aka Baka, you have to be crazy. Said Theo, giving her new friend a small dig. I thought he was nice at first and then I find out he was a perverted moron, but I tried to deal with it before he sealed me, so sue me. Eva shot back with a blush and looked away. Theo and Naruto just gave laugh. Zero Asuna Zero. She was standing in front of Takahata on what seemed to be the last day of the festival. I care about you, and I always have, she shouted. Well, you really didn't need to tell me, Asu-chan, cause I know you do and I care for you, now and forever. The voice of Naruto entering and he was smiling brilliantly. What? Shouted Asuna as she woke up with her face flushed. Man, I really need to calm down, but but every time I dream about Takahata-sensei, Naruto just shows up. This is getting confusing, she thought as she shook her head. 0 in class 0. The girls were talking about the world tree and if the rumors of confessing under it were true. Well, I have a good idea who I would confess to, said Kanoka. What about you, Sei-chan? She asked as she grinned knowing who she would pick. Well, if I had to pick someone it would be Naruto-sensei. And she quickly covered her mouth. Good choice, Sei-chan. Naruto-kun is very attractive and strong too, said Kanoka. What about you, Asuna-san? Setsuna asked, deflecting the question to Asuna. Asuna's really the last one to ask. She tried confessing to Takahata-sensei last year but she didn't get to say it, said Kanoka. Hey, look at this, Kanoka said as she read an article on how some girl got her dream guy while confessing under the tree. She then told Asuna to try it. Will you just both leave me alone? Asuna said with a huff and left to go to her art club. Asuna sat down and started to paint and she let her mind wander. She was remembering how Naruto said he would always care for her and she got a warm fuzzy feeling inside. She finally looked at her painting. It was a picture of a younger version of her along with a younger version of Naruto smiling while he had an arm around her shoulder. She would have erased it but she couldn't help but smile. Asuna-kun, how lost in thought you seem, said the voice of Takamichi as he smiled at her. Hoo-ha, Takahata-sensei, where did everyone go? Asuna questioned, wondering how long in thought she was. They went home it seems. Well, let me see what you drew, he said and gave a sad smile at the picture. You seem to be remembering more and more, he said quietly. Yay. I'm really sorry if sealing your memories hurt you, Asuna-kun, but after a certain event I had to. Takamichi said with sadness, remembering that day. So you did it? Asuna asked. She wasn't angry, he must have had a reason. Yes. I'm wondering, was I close to Naruto? She asked, trying to get some insight to her memory of the past. Takamichi just smiled. Very close. It was almost impossible to separate you two when he had to leave with his father. Asuna calmed down and asked the one question that had plagued her for a while now. Did I like Naruto? She asked with a whisper. Takamichi sighed. That isn't really for me to say, but in my opinion, yes, I think you did. That was it. She had to make up her mind now, if her younger self really liked Naruto and she felt so happy and warm around him. Then it was obvious. You know, Takahata-sensei, I really liked you, like I thought I was in love with you, but I think I mistook my feelings as one with that a child would love a parent. You were always there for me and I thank you for that. I'm going to find my happiness, Takahata-sensei, and it's all thanks to you, Asuna said with a beautiful smile that brightened the room as she dashed off. Takamichi just smiled. I'm happy you found your prince again, Asuna-kun. 0 with Asuna 0. She walked into her room and stared at the mirror. She looked at her bells and took them off and placed them in a box. It was the very box she kept Naruto's Pactio card and now it would hold the gift from her surrogate parent. She took the long white ribbon that was used to wrap her gift Naruto had given her and cut it in half and made 2 bows that now held up her pigtails just as her bells had. Well, time to find some happiness, she said as she left the room and searched for Kanoka, Setsuna, Negi, Chamo, and Naru-kun. 0 with Naruto 0. Naruto was currently reading in his and Setsuna's room. The current occupants were Negi, Chamo, Setsuna, Kanoka and Theodora. Setsuna was sharpening her sword. Kanoka was reading a spell book. Theo, Negi, and Chamo were talking about the magical world and some of Nagi's and Naruto's adventures. Just then Asuna busted into the room smiling like no tomorrow. Naruto, you and me are going on a date and I want no ifs, ands, or buts, got that? She said as she grinned in his face and poking him in the chest. Naruto went wide-eyed at the demand. Theo just stared, wondering where this came from. Setsuna and Kanoka gasped, but Kanoka was thinking at how this was all going according to her plan. Negi's jaw dropped and Chamo just grinned, just what he would expect from his eldest brother. The ladies literally demand dates from him, he was just that good. Well, I guess I can agree with such a request. Hope you like fun though, cause there is going to be a lot of it, Naruto said with grin matching hers. This is going to be interesting, thought Theo. 0 the next day 0. Hey Akko, said Maki. The sports 4 were together and started talking and were commenting on the guitar on Akko's back, but then she started to trip over. She suddenly felt that something caught her and turned around and saw Naruto. Man, We really need to stop meeting like this, Akko-chan," said Naruto, smiling in his usual way. Akko blushed prettily. "Then thank you, Naruto-sensei," she said as she bowed and almost tripped over again due to her guitar. "We'll see ya girls, I got a meeting to catch," Naruto said, waving. Naruto continued walking, ignoring the whispers of how hot he looked and such. Naruto was wearing black jeans, a white long-sleeved shirt, black and white checkered shoes, and had a gray hoodie on. He spotted Asuna leaning against the wall of a coffee shop, and she was wearing a black tank top with a white zip-up vest over it, along with a blue skirt and white belt, and to finish it off she had high heels on. Zero Play World is Mine, by Miku Hatsune Zero. It really took his breath away. "Well, Asu-chan, you are looking beautiful," Naruto said with a kind smile. Asuna blushed looking at him and heard his compliment as she turned her head away. "Why yay, and you really clean up nice too." "Well, Ahima-sama, where to first?" he questioned teasingly. "Why, you're the guy, I thought you knew where to go already," she said, trying to dodge the responsibility of planning out the day. "Ah, I do, but as a gentleman it is only right to ask the lady and see if she wants to go anywhere specific first," Naruto said with that charming smile of his. Asuna blushed again, told him to go where he planned to go. A little bit away. Konoka, Setsuna, Theodora, Negi, and Chamo were watching the date progress. "Wow, Naruto-kun really knows how to treat a girl," Konoka said, and Setsuna nodded. "Well, of course, his mom beat the gentleman into him," thought Theodora. "Take notes, Negi Aniki, cause this is a great chance to see a master at work," Chamo said proudly as he observed Naruto. "Hate to burst your bubble, Chamo, but Naruto really doesn't have all that much experience with dating." "Well, except for me," Theo proclaimed proudly. Konoka and Setsuna glared at her. "But knowing Sparky, he is going to make it special, that's for sure," Theo said, but she was worried if he would end the date like he ended them with her, a kiss on the lips. Back with the couple. "What flavor do you want, Asu-chan?" Naruto asked as he was getting them ice cream. "Ah, vanilla." "All right, 2 vanillas please." Naruto handed the treat to Asuna and they continued walking around as people set up stall for the festival. Asuna kept sending glances at Naruto as he ate his ice cream. She had noticed he had gotten some on his nose and sighed. "Man, without a woman's touch, you guys are nothing but slobs," Asuna said as she took out her handkerchief and wiped his nose. Naruto scratched the back of his head and laughed. "Yay, I agree, but without us guys around, you wouldn't have as much fun," Naruto said as he finished his ice cream and snatched Asuna's and started licking it. "Hey, that's mine." "Oh, and how are you going to get it back?" Naruto questioned with a grin. Asuna growled but a second later smirked. She walked up to Naruto, placed a hand around his neck and looked like she was about to pull him in for a kiss, and Naruto was leaning into it, but she snatched her ice cream back and backed away, giving a teasing smile. Naruto blinked and then pointed at her. "You do not tease." "I'm the one who teases," he said as he was stating a fact. Asuna just grinned and licked her ice cream. "Well, if you can't take it then don't steal my ice cream." Naruto gawked at her. She was acting way bolder than she usually was, but he got a smirk and decided to get one last tease in. "Hope you like that indirect kiss, Asu-chan." She blushed atomic red and dropped her ice cream on the ground. She growled and chased the blonde around till they got to some of the prize booths that were open. There were numerous types of games, but the two settled for a target gallery. "How about a bet, Asu-chan?" "Okay, what's the bet?" "I win, you give me a kiss," Naruto proclaimed boldly. "Wah, but what if I win?" she asked with a blush. "Simple, I give you a kiss." "Bu, but either way we kiss." "Yep, and start," Naruto said as he hit his first target. Asuna, being the competitive type, quickly switched from panicking to not wanting to lose mode. In the end Asuna won and made Naruto carry a big lion plushie, half the size of him. "So, when do you want that kiss?" asked Naruto, grinning that infectious grin. "When I want it," Asuna said with a huff and crossed her arms and turned her head so Naruto couldn't see her blush. They were walking to the world tree and sat under it. Asuna was hugging her lion plushie closely and sat next to Naruto and watched as the wind whisked around them and saw it fly around Naruto and whipped his hair around and just made him look really dreamy. They watched as the sun was setting and Naruto grinned at her and moved closer. Asuna's face was heating up the closer he got. The glow from the sunset just amplified her beauty in his opinion and he kissed her. Asuna didn't fight it and just leaned into the kiss and enjoyed the warmth and love coming from it. Naruto separated their lips and smiled at her. I thought that I got to say when I wanted the kiss. Asuna questioned, but her voice was squeaky. I know, that was just the kiss for the date, Naruto said, and the two sat there as the sun went down. In a dark room, Asuna was tied up and blindfolded. Would you like to play a game? Asked a deep menacing voice. Oh Kami, I know this movie, Asuna shouted in her mind with fright. Just kidding, said a cheerful voice that sounded like Kanoka, and as her blindfold was removed she did see said girl in front of her. Kanoka, why am I tied up? Asuna asked. That's simple silly, so you don't run away and answer our questions. Kanoka said like she was stating a fact. Hello Asuna-san, said Setsuna, who was sitting in the corner. Setsuna-san. So, how was the date? Kanoka asked as she shined a lamp in Asuna's face. Asuna blushed and turned away from the blinding light and closed her eyes. Sigh, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, Asuna, your choice, said Kanoka as she pulled out a feather and had a menacing smile on her angelic face. Asuna turned to see her instrument of torture and shouted, You wouldn't. I would, Kanoka said as she started tickling Asuna. After a few minutes of laughing, Asuna just couldn't take it anymore. Okay, I'll talk, screamed Asuna. Excellent, said Kanoka as she sat in a big spiny chair, petting a cat plushie dubbed Mr. Bigglesworth, and Setsuna standing on her right side. Asuna calmed down from her giggle fit and talked with a big smile. I realized that my love for Takahata-sensei wasn't real, it was just my way for clinging to him so I wouldn't be alone, I guess. So I took a chance on Naruto. He made me happy and makes me feel warm in my heart. He made me stronger, smarter, and told me the truth. Asuna mumbled the last part, but the rest of her confession was told with nothing but love in her voice. Kanoka and Setsuna just blinked in surprise at the red head. Kanoka was the first to recover and let out a squeal of happiness and hugged Asuna. Yes. Finally girl, I was getting worried about how long you were lying to yourself. I mean Naruto-kun is great for you and he's young. Now the love operation, Asuko Setna, will reach its final stage. Kanoka said as she gave a cute evil laugh. She must have been hanging out with Eva for too long. Responded Asuna and Setsuna as the black-haired beauty released her friend from her bindings. Kanoka just looked at them with a boring look and sighed. It seems she would have to be the brains in this harem. Must I explain this slowly to you too? We each like Naruto-kun, so the best way to keep our friendship and get our favorite blonde is to share. Honestly Sei-chan, I have been dropping hints for a while now. We can't just do that, Asuna exclaimed. She kind of wanted Naruto to herself, but if she would lose her closest friends, damn hormones and conflicting feelings. Too bad, we will do this and have kinky foursomes. This I swear, Kanoka exclaimed as she pointed her finger in the air. Asuna and Setsuna were blushing madly at her proclamation and blushed harder as she was getting into details on their future acts, especially the possibilities with the blondes, Cage Bunchins. 0 with Naruto 0. Naruto was currently eating at the Chow Bao Zi, enjoying his secret ramen time. He was slowly approached from behind and two hands covered his eyes and felt two large mounts on his back. Guess who, Sparky? MNN, well, judging by the breasts on my back I would say Theo-chan. Naruto said in a happy tone. The now reviled Theodora slapped his head as she had a dusting of light pink on her cheeks. Really you blonde baka, must my breasts give me away? What about your nickname? Now Theo-chan, you should be happy that I can tell it's you just by your breasts. It's how I know when you're using a body double at times. Naruto said like he was stating a fact. Theo just got a tick mark on her head remembering how Naruto just felt the poor girl's breast and claimed her to be a fake a second later. Surprisingly the girl didn't make a complaint and often asked to be her double when one was needed. For claiming not to be a pervert, he did do some perverted things at times. Baka, Theo mumbled. Naruto noticed Theo had some paint on her dress. So, what happened to you? Decide to get a new hobby, he said pointing at the green paint on the edge of her white dress. Theo's eyes widened. Well, those twins from your class tried to prank me so I avoided most of it. After that we had a little chat, Theo said with a predatory smile. 0 with the twins 0. Currently the Narutaki twins were in a bind. They were hired by Kazumi to prank the blonde hussy trying to steal their hot older sensei. They thought it would be easy, but they were wrong. The twins were currently tied up and gagged and were dressed in baby cloths, with the booties, hats, and diapers. They were both placed in a big twin-sized baby stroller. The sign above them read, "Please leave the babies in their timeout corner." It was humiliating and they would get their revenge. Zero back with Naruto and Theo. Zero. "You pranked them back?" asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow. "Yep," Theo said, grinning like she ate the canary. "You were so awesome," Naruto said with a smile. "I know," as she grinned like a madman. Zero class time 0. Naruto and Theo were walking to class together because Theo had nothing else to do but hang out with Naruto. As the two were about to enter, they saw Negi. "Hey little bro, how's it going?" Naruto questioned. "Hey mini Nagi," Theo greeted. Negi's sweat dropped. "Things are going well, but, Theodora-san, please call me Negi." "Nope, you look too much like that baka, so I can't really take you all that seriously," Theo explained with a shrug. "Well, let's just get in there," Naruto said as he stifled a chuckle. Negi nodded and opened the door. "Hello all. How are we doing?" "Hi girls," Naruto greeted and Theo just nodded her head. The girls turned to see their two senseis and new enemy. "Negi-sensei, Negi-kun, Naruto-sensei, Naruto-kun," the class exclaimed. Theo got a bit of a tick mark since it seemed they didn't bother to greet her, and as a princess she was used to being greeted, but it was oddly refreshing too. "Negi-kun, Naruto-kun, help us," Maki exclaimed. "We're up to our ears here," shouted Yuna. The girls were in a panic since they still had work to do on their haunted house. "We cannot ask our senseis for help. It's unheard of," said Ayaka as she yelled at the girls. "So, Naruto-kun, Negi-kun, we're doing a live concert during the festival," said Shina. "And we would like for you guys to come," said Misa. "Hey, no fair, we want them to join us during the Academy's walking club," shouted Fuka and Fumika. At this proclamation, every girl in the room got a glint in their eye, thinking this was their chance to get their love interest with some alone time. "Disciple, almost forgetting, you come to Chinese martial arts club instead. Show Kata to new club members. Naruto-sensei also come to show heavy spar with me to rest of Club Uru," stated Ku-fei as she looked sternly at Negi and smiled at Naruto. Just then Ku-fei was pushed out of the way by Maki and Ayaka as the two swarmed Negi, asking him to see their club's attractions. "Time for us to step in, Ne-san," asked Chamo in a whisper as he was on Kazumi's shoulder. "Oh, yeah," stated Kazumi. "All right girls, stand back, stand back. You wanna book time with Naruto-kun and Negi-kun, you got to go through their acting manager, namely me," said Kazumi. The girls just gave her a stupefied face. "Asakura-san, who made you their manager?" yelled Ayaka. "Never you mind that, you wanna book time, get in line," said Kazumi. "Hello, people, get your butts in gear, we don't have time for this right now." Zero later that afternoon. Zero. Naruto and Negi were currently reading their new schedule for the next 3 days. Theodora, Asuna, and Kazumi were standing around them. "Well, my schedule may be tight, but I could always use my clones, but that wouldn't really be fair, damn," Naruto stated as he really wanted to visit all his students. Negi nodded and Chamo informed the two that they may not be able to make it to them all. Theodora and Kazumi were having a glaring contest. Theo managed to get it out of the twins that they were hired by the redhead and she would get her back. Kazumi thought she was going to need a new plan of attack for the dark-tanned blonde. Asuna was still in a bit of a daze from what Kanoka had told her. She said they would bring it up with Naruto during the festival, but the thought unnerved her a bit. Her face blushed again, remembering what Kanoka wanted to do the first time they would be together. Words like that should not come from such an angelic-looking girl. As Naruto was mulling over his schedule, he didn't notice when Nodoka asked Negi on a date and Chachimaru gave Negi 2 flyers for Eva's Go tournament and told him to give one to Naruto, and she blasted off on some jet-powered rollerblades. Really, you would think that he would pay attention to that. "Master, Negi, hey, sign-ups for the martial arts tournaments, almost closed. Come on," shouted Katarao as he ran up to the group. The sound of a fighting tournament awoke Naruto from his thinking. "What, I never said I'd," Negi said, trying to rationalize with his friend rival. "Of course you are, it's our chance to finally face off. Do you think after all the training I did with Master over here was for nothing? I know I can beat ya," said Katarao with a cocky smirk. Naruto bopped his head. "Don't get overconfident, Kota. You can beat Negi in close range, but he has the advantage in mid to long range if he can keep his distance. We'll work on that too. The blonde stayed thinking of new ways to train Katarao. I've got no chance in a pure martial arts match, you know that. Negi shouted. 100,000 yen in prize money, thought Chamo as he read the flyer. Exactly, Katarao said with no shame. Responded Negi. Peef, learning how to set up victory was part of master's training. You got to be deceitful at times, and stopping an opponent from using their full power is a good strategy, or so master says. The Hanyu said as he looked at his master for confirmation. After getting his butt handed to him over and over again by his master, finding a weakness he can exploit is something you got to do, or in his case stay conscious for a few more seconds during their heavy sparring. Naruto nodded and patted Katarao on the head. He beat into the boy that there are times to fight fair, but other times when certain conditions can lead to victory quicker, and at times finishing a fight faster can save lives. Well, if you're in his line of work, which he plans to introduce to Katarao, but not till later on. Well, I've got this schedule I'm supposed to, said Negi as he looked at his day planner. Schedule, Shmadul, you leave that part to me. You wanna see how far you've come, right? Suggested Chamo with dollar signs in his eyes. What he said, but there is a bit of a problem. What problem? Kids under the age of 12 get stuck in the children's division. That'd be like shooting fish in a barrel for us. Chamo got a glint in his eye. I know just the way to do it. Really, you do? Asked Katarao. Way to, hey, Chamo-kun, you don't mean, Negi questioned, but Chamo and Katarao were already running away. Katarao was it. Let's beat feet, Chamo said. You're a good Ermin to have around, Katarao stated. Hey you two, you can't just go in, Negi said as he chased the two. The group of four just laughed at the kids and Ermin's antics. Hey, Naruto-sensei, shouted Akko in the distance, but when she saw Naruto with his lady friend, she frowned a bit and was feeling a bit self-conscious. Ah, Akko-chan, Naruto said, smiling at the girl, to which said girl blushed at the smile. Theo sighed at the silvery-haired girl walking up to the group with a girl with short black hair. It seemed that the baka just can't keep these girls from liking him. Akko seemed a bit fidgety. And Naruto-sensei, I was wondering if you wanted to come to the upcoming conk. She was cut off from the sound of two teenagers walking up to the group. You two never let up, do you? Questioned a now older-looking Negi. Aha, ha, this stuff is amazing, said Katarao, smiling after taking the age-changing pill that Chamo gave them. Negi looked up and saw Akko and Madoka. Akko-san, Kujimaya-san. So how's it going? Akko hid behind Naruto while being scared that this guy just knew her name. Naruto sighed at Negi's stupidity and decided to resolve this quickly. Easy Akko-chan, this is my cousin who I write to about our class, right cousin? Naruto lied smoothly with a smile that promised pain if his brother messed this up. Negi gulped, recognizing that smile. Yes, hello, my name is Nagi Springfield, a pleasure. Madoka just happened to be staring at the older-looking Katarao with a small blush. Akko held out some tickets and handed them to Naruto. I hope you come to the concert. Akko shouted as she ran with Madoka racing after her. What the hell, you idiots? Why did you take an age-changing pill? Naruto questioned the two. To sign up for the tournament, master. Katarao answered straight away. Naruto sighed. Fine, go sign up and take one of my clones too, so I can fight too. Both paled at the thought of fighting him. They heard some mumbling in the distance. The same thing year after year. Help us set up Eva-chan. Sheesh. Eva turned to see the bastard that had sealed her and his first son. She quickly rubbed her eyes. Sweet Kami, am I having that dream again? Nagi, you bastard, what are you? Eva shouted. Ah, Evangeline-san. It's you. For a moment there I thought. Relax Eva, it's just the clone, Theo said with a chuckle, seeing at how flustered her new friend had gotten. After a detailed explanation at the new appearance. So to sign up for a martial arts tournament, huh? Yep. Now that he's like this, but the idiot is still better, the idiot is mostly likely to enter too. Right then, I'll be entering also. A master needs to see how far their disciple has improved, Eva said, grinning. The two younger boys paled even more now. Naruto and Evangeline are going to be in this tournament, they're doomed. Eva gave a chuckle at the boys' faces and turned to Naruto. Idiot, most likely you are entering as well. If you lose, you have to spend the entire 3 days of the festival with me. The chibi boldly declared. Theo glared at the girl along with Asuna and Kazumi. Theo knew she had a crush on Nagi, but to move it on Naruto, damn that flirtatious baka. Peef, you make it sound like I'm going to lose. You know unless you can use your powers that I'm the strongest person on this campus. Naruto boldly claimed, unless his uncle Al used his Pactio that is. Eva chuckled, it seemed the idiot did carry his father's arrogance but they both could back it up. True, as expected of my knight. Theo said. Knight, questioned everyone but Naruto and Eva. Yay, Sparky here is my royal knight when he's in the magical world. Asuna and Kazumi went wide-eyed, that was how she got so close to their love interest, she always had him around her. Hey, has anyone seen Kanoka and Setsuna-san? Asuna asked while keeping in mind what she just heard. The group just shook their heads negatively. Zero somewhere else zero. Report Sei-chan. Hi, from going through the enemy's luggage, all I could truly find was that she had very adult tastes in undergarments, Ojo-sama. How very adult tastes? Black lace with frills, Ojo-sama. I see, very well Sei-chan, quick, to the lingerie store, said Kanoka as she dragged Setsuna away who had a stupefied face. Zero the next day zero. Naruto, Theodora, and Katarao were standing by the World Tree chatting with Takamichi as they waited for the meeting that involved all the mages on campus. Naruto and Katarao saw Negi and Setsuna run up to the meeting spot and Negi seemed to be in awe at the number of mages on campus. We have been waiting for you, said the dean as he addressed Negi and Setsuna. Who are all these people? Asked Negi. These are all those who teach and learn magic here, answered the dean. The reason I have gathered you all today was to help deal with an upcoming problem. The enemy, Katarao asked in excitement. Naruto bopped him on the head, what have I told you? Naruto asked the Hanyu. Right, calm, collected, and analytic. Katarao muttered as he rubbed the back of his head. It's nothing awful again, is it? Negi questioned with surprise. It's awe-inducing in its own way. You do know of the World Tree's legend, yes? Yay, I heard of it, something about making a wish on the last day it becomes true or something. The kids in class couldn't stop talking about it, said Katarao with a shrug. More about becoming a couple, isn't it? Questioned Negi since he heard about it from Yuna. The thing is, it's true. Wishes do come true, even if only once every 22 years. And so, what I need is for everyone to be on guard, even more so on the last day to prevent anything that students may wish for to put the World Tree to the test, especially matters of the heart. That got Naruto's attention. On the last day of the festival, the World Tree will reach 120% of power and any wish that involves love would become a curse. The dean said. It should be happening next year, but for some reason it is occurring now. So, what's so wrong with falling in love? Negi asked. The dean was about to answer but Naruto spoke up first. True, falling in love is a good thing, but Negi, you need to remember that the World Tree would influence a person's will so that really isn't true love. It practically giving someone a love potion and warping their mind to love you. The tree will be doing the same thing, Naruto said, giving Negi a look. Negi dumbly nodded, his brother was right about forcing one to love by magical means. He really blames Chamo for the tongue lashing his brother had given him about the time the ermine ordered those love potion chocolates. You can count me out, muttered Katarao but one look from his master told him different, he was participating in this thing too. The red-haired student at the meeting felt something and turned around, we're being watched. Muttered the dean. A man with a goatee and slicked back dark hair in a business suit sent a wave of wind destroying what looked like a type of surveillance device floating in the sky. That is all, you are dismissed. Negi-kun, Naruto-kun. Yes, yay, they both answered. Please be avoid any confessions directed towards you. Negi sputtered at that, while Naruto just stared at the old man. Yay, sure old man, whatever you say. Don't worry too much about it, I'll look after Sparky here. Theo said with confidence. Yes, it is quite a shocker that you have arrived here Theodora-sama. Please stay close to Naruto-kun, we wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you in our jurisdiction. The dean said laughing a bit at his little joke. Theo nodded and the group of 5 left while chatting about how the World Tree's legend was actually true and how it would interfere with Naruto's and Negi's schedules. They continued walking till someone bumped into Naruto. Hey, are you alright? Naruto asked as he helped pick who seemed to be a girl up. The hood on the female fell off and showed it to be one Chao Lingshan. Hi Naruto-sensei. I'm being chased by some shady characters. Naruto picked her up and the group then start running along the rooftops. Setsuna noticed at how easily that Theodora was keeping in pace with Naruto, most likely she had some kind of training as well. Naruto ordered Theo to watch his back and then ordered Negi, Kotarou, and Setsuna to take care of the shadow people following them. Chao-chan, explain, Naruto said sternly. Chao cringed in fear at the tone, remembering it all too well when she did something wrong when she was younger. I'm being chased by some evil mages, she squeaked out. Evil mages, Negi gasped. You guys take them out and meet up in the alley up ahead, Naruto ordered as he and Theo dashed ahead, leave the three to do their job. Naruto landed softly on the ground and allowed Chao to stand on her own as she leaned on a wall for some support. Phew, thanks for the save, guys. We shouldn't rest yet, the master of those shadow puppets may be near, Setsuna said with seriousness. I just love a good game face on a girl, Kotarou muttered to himself. Theo heard him and giggled, it seems someone has a fan now. Good job sneaking your magic in those fireworks, Negi-sensei, Chao said, giving Negi a thumbs up. You're too kind. Wait, you know about mages then, Chao-san? As much as Hakase does, sure. So who was it that was after you? Questioned Negi further. Ah ha ha, well Kota, Naruto said. You got it, I smell at least 3 of them, master, and they're all around us. Good, you 3 take care of them. The 3 nodded and bolted off to confront the enemy. Calling for backup may be tough, so, Chamo muttered as he used some interference magic to stop the enemy from communicating telepathically. After an awkward situation with the red-haired female student from the meeting along with a female blonde-haired one with a dark-skinned fellow who was a teacher, they all met on the roof. Explain this immediately, Naruto said with an air of authority. We were hoping you could tell us, Naruto-san, as to way you were protecting the problem student, Xiao Lingshan. Because she is my student and therefore, if I see someone chasing her I will take action, Naruto stated with narrowed eyes. Ah, I see, you are her teacher, but have you been told about her? No, what should I be informed about? Naruto asked. I see, well then if you don't know then, Xiao Lingshan comes with us, spoke the man as he adjusted his glasses. Naruto laughed at the man, making said man raise an eyebrow. What makes you think you can order me? If I remember correctly, and I do, the dean has given me the highest level of authority just under his own, like Takamichi has, so if I wish for Chao-chan to stay, she stays, Naruto said with a smirk. Kotarou laughed at how his master just owned the guy and Chao smiled. The man began to sweat a bit at the declaration. She has disrupted the school's rules and threatened our society. This happens to be the 3rd time she was caught. We will need to wipe her memory, he said as he approached Chao. Said girl was hiding behind Naruto's back with a scared look in her eyes. Naruto set loose a burst of magic that stopped the man in his tracks and glared at him coldly. I believe I just told you that she is staying. But she has even been known to aid the criminal Evangeline upon occasion. She is not to be taken lightly, the man declared, and Naruto's look became even colder. Eva became a criminal by necessity, not by choice, but in order to live. Do not just pass judgment on those you know nothing about by the words of those you follow. Agreed. Evangeline-san happens to have become a friend of mine in the few days I have come here. To vouch for my night student as well, she is under my protection from this moment forth, Theodora stated as she looked at the man with a regal look. The man was sweating even more. I see, I will just have to trust you then, Naruto-san, as well as you, Theodora-sama. Good day, he said as he and the 2 students with him left the scene. Wow, Naruto-sensei, you really got him good. I'm sure that Negi Bozu would have said something too, but he was just in awe of your awesomeness, Chao said, nodding her head. Negi and Kotarou nodded their heads feverishly. I hear you 2 also have a time schedule problem. Let me help you out with that as a thank you, Chao said, grinning as she handed the 2 what seemed to be pocket watches. The science of Xiao Lingshan is at your command. Naruto looked at that grin she had and it looked awfully familiar. Naruto sighed. He looked at the watch that Chao had given him and Negi. He could feel the magic around it and would have to study it further at a later time, and stashed it in his pocket and clipped it to his jeans. Naruto and Theo were currently walking through the festival enjoying the sights. Naruto was wearing his black turtleneck and was wearing his staff charm around his neck and had a pair of dark blue jeans and his boots. Theo was wearing a sleeveless blue blouse that went to her mid-thigh, a pair of denim shorts and some flip-flops that strapped to her feet. Theo though had a pout on her face as she walked next to Naruto. Naruto sighed. What's wrong? Nothing. Theo-chan, I know you better than anyone, come on, what's up? Theo said nothing for a minute and then grabbed his hand and pulled him into an alley. Theo, what are you doing? He didn't get to finish as Theo captured his mouth with hers with a fierce kiss. Wow, what brought this on? Naruto asked as he broke from the kiss. Grr, you kissed her and so I'm getting some action too. Theo said as she continued kissing her love interest. Naruto broke away again. Theo, you know that I care for you and Asuna too. Theo just planted gentle kisses on his jawline. I know, you can't really choose between us, but, I need you. You're my best friend and I love you, you baka. Theo said in a whisper and continued her work of passion on her friend crush. Theo, Naruto muttered. I want you. Just to myself, but we both know that isn't going to happen. Not with all these girls crushing on you. Theo thought bitterly. So what now? Naruto asked. He honestly liked Theo, just as he liked Asuna, but that wouldn't be fair to choose between them, not when he cared so much for them both. I'll talk to that girl, okay. I know that you're too kind-hearted to choose between us, but I'm making my own terms, you got that Sparky? Theo said with a Cheshire grin with a bit of a blush on her face as she gave one last searing kiss. Naruto was just standing there stupefied as he let his brain reboot after that awesome makeout session. Theo just laughed at his face and grabbed his hand as the two started walking around the festival again as he was still in his daze. The World Tree Observation Team sent out an alert. Theo-chan, let's go, Naruto said as he snapped back to his usual self. Got it Sparky, Theo responded as she and Naruto dashed to the area where the magic of the tree was used. The two came just in time and saw Negi about to kiss Nodoka and Asuna came and interfered with her horizon. What do you think you're doing to Hanya-chan? The redhead shouted. Negi stepped out of the way just in time to avoid the blow. He dodged, muttered Setsuna. Hey, Negi baka, shouted Asuna. Negi was wavering as he regained his balance. He then turned to face them and let out a bizarre laugh. Negi, what's wrong with you? Asked Asuna. It's like he's being controlled is this part of the World Tree's magic too? But it's only day one. There's no way it should be this powerful. Wait, did he just cast his Cantus Bellix? Said Setsuna. Look at Negi Aniki's eyes. He's zombified, shouted Chamo who was riding on Setsuna's shoulder. Ju-chan, you got to tell us what you asked from Negi Aniki, said Chamo to Nodoka. Nodoka blushed deeply. I can't tell you that, she muttered. Ju-chan, this is important. Setsuna-san, can you please step to the side? Asked Zombie Negi as he stood right between them. Setsuna went wide-eyed. Sensei, snap out of it. Come on, Aniki. Are you opposing me, if that is how you want it? Negi said as he was about to go in for an attack but he was then kicked away. Oi, aka Baka. You want to get to them. Then you got to go through me. Naruto stated as he lowered his leg from his kick. Naruto-san, Naruto Aniki. Shouted Setsuna and Chamo. Asuna, Theo, Setsuna. Take Nodoka away from here. Try and get out of her what she asked, got it? Naruto said as he stared at Negi. Right, they said as Asuna scooped up Nodoka and jumped away with Theo and Setsuna right behind her. Negi slowly got up. Ni-san, please do not get in my way or I will have to hurt you. Negi said in his daze. Naruto just laughed, getting a little too arrogant there Neg. You and I both know I could take you with no hands. Naruto said with a Springfield grin. Zombie Negi gave a small frown. Even so, I will fulfill Nodoka-san's request. He said as he charged at his brother. Zero with the girls 0. The girls landed on a roof some distance away from the brothers. Asuna-san, I'm so sorry, this is all my fault, Nodoka said. Silly Hanya-chan, we all know that this kind of thing is always Negi Baka's fault. In any case we need to know what you asked for. Come girl, spill the goods. Theo said with her arms crossed and had her pactio in her pocket, ready to use it if she had to. Nodoka muttered something and the others besides Theo due to her elf-like ears, didn't hear her. What kind of teenage girl asks a 10-year-old for that? Theo shouted in her mind with wide eyes. Asuna leaned her ear closer to Nodoka. What was that? Nodoka muttered again. You did a grown-up kiss, shouted Asuna. Setsuna just blushed and thought of kissing a certain blonde and brunette. Zero with Naruto and Negi 0. Naruto easily ducked under one of Negi's punches with his hands in his pockets. Naruto then flipped over Negi and kicked him in the back. Negi was looking a bit winded as he continued to try and hit his brother, who just kept dodging and countering his attacks. The younger brother went for an elbow strike, but Naruto stopped it with the bottom of his foot. He then quickly pushed his other foot from the ground and stood perfectly balanced on Negi's elbow and gave swift kick to the redhead's face and landed softly with cat-like grace. "Come on Negi, this all you got?" Naruto asked in a bored tone. Negi stood there for a second and got a smirk. He then dashed in front of his brother and snapped his fingers and a bright light went off in Naruto's face. Natural Naruto closed his eyes to save them from being blinded and Negi used those few seconds to run to his target. Naruto opened his eyes a second later and grinned. You clever little sneak." He muttered as that was a good strategy, but due to Naruto's training he was used to fighting without sight or any of his other senses. So if Negi went for a hit, Naruto could have easily retaliated. Naruto rushed after him and saw him standing in front of the four girls and Negi was about to advance, but he was stopped by a barrage of magical arrows. "I thought this might happen. This is what he ought to have stopped." "He disappoints me," said the voice of Takane D. Goodman with her shadow summons next to her with her Kahaime. "You may have caught us off guard yesterday but today will be," she said, but Negi interrupted her by elbowing one of her shadow summons and made quick work of the rest. Flans X Armadillo. Negi casted and stripped the blonde and redhead girls. Nodoka-san," Negi said in a creepy voice as he turned to the group. "Yeah, kissing. Terminator," Asuna said as she got out Horizon again. "Adit," Theo said. A green diamond appeared on her forehead. Setsuna also placed herself in a defensive stance and said, "Adit," and had her row eyes on her wrist. Negi continued his advance when a shout stopped him. "Dynamic entry," Naruto yelled as both his feet slammed into Negi's face and sent him flying. Naruto backflipped after his attack hit and landed next to Asuna. "Hey Asu-chan, miss me?" Naruto asked with a smirk. "Baka, I thought you had him. He tried to blind me for a few seconds and slipped away. I will say though his tactics are getting better." "Sigh, whatever, now that you're here we can stop him," Asuna said with smile. "Trying to stop him won't work. He'll continue till he completes his order," Takane said, covering her modesty as she sat on the ground. "We can't really let him do that. He'd kiss her to death, literally," Naruto said. Nodoka paled at that. "So if we lie, he may stop," muttered Nodoka. "Negi-sensei, I would rather kiss Naruto-sensei than you," Nodoka shouted, hoping it would stop her love interest. "Oh bollocks," Naruto said with a face palm as the light from the world tree flared and died down a second later. Naruto turned to the group with his trademark grin and hollowed eyes. "If that's what you want Nodoka-chan, then so be it," he said with a mock bow and slow walked over to them. "Hanya-chan, Nodoka," shouted Asuna and Theo at the shy girl in somewhat anger. Negi came in and tried to hit his brother. "Ni-san, Nodoka-san asked for me first. She said she wanted me over you," Naruto said as he bopped his brother on the head. The two continued their fight as the girls huddled together. "Hanya-chan, what were you thinking?" Asuna hissed. I'm sorry, I thought that if I lied, Negi-sensei would stop," Nodoka said in a panic. Asuna sighed and thought what they could do. "I think I got an idea," Theo said. "What is it?" Asuna asked. "I'll take one for the team," Theo said with a sly smile. "You'll what?" said Asuna and Setsuna. "Simple, I'll get Naruto to kiss me and one of you gets Negi to kiss you," Theo said in a matter-of-fact tone. "They'll suffocate us to death," Asuna hissed at the girl. "And why should you get Naruto?" she asked with narrowed eyes. Theo glared in return. "Because, unlike some inexperienced girl like you, Naruto and I have kissed a few times when we were younger," Theo said in a haughty tone. Asuna's blood boiled at that. "Well, Naruto owes me a kiss. So I'll take it right now to stop him." "Nice try, Red, but I got this one." "You wish." I could always do it," Setsuna said with a raised hand and a blush on her face. But her notion went unheard as the blonde and redhead argued. "Fine Negi, if it will stop your whining, you can kiss her first." "Thank you Ni-san." The group turned to see them approaching and panicked. "Blonde, Sparky, you wanna kiss her, you got to go through me first," Asuna and Theo both declared at the same time. Setsuna sighed and decided to take one for the team also. "Negi-sensei, if you want to kiss Miyazaki-san then you will have to kiss me first," she said in a dull tone, really not wanting to kiss a 10-year-old again, but this was to keep Nodoka safe. "Very well Setsuna-san," Negi said as he disappeared at great speed with thanks to her training could easily keep up with Negi as he proceeded to kiss her. Naruto stopped and blinked at what to do, he then snapped his fingers at the idea he got and made a cage bunshin. Well Himes, you want a kiss, you got it. The two Narutos said as they shuffled around so they didn't know which was which. The two Narutos captured their lips and gave them a kiss so deep that it made their toes curl and swept them off their feet. Seconds later they were both passed out with a blissful look on their faces. Setsuna was also down and looked as though her soul had been sucked out. Konoka and Haruna came up to the scene and gasped, well Konoka was glaring daggers at Theodora for kissing her target, but was happy that Asuna was getting one too. Naruto and Negi blinked and came to their senses, what happened? They both asked. A long story Aniki's, a long story, Chamo said as he shook his head. Later that day 0. What, a time machine, this lil thing, you mean it, for real, I mean, I get the magic and all, but wow, just wow. Asuna said in amazement as she held Negi's new watch time machine. It's more science than magic actually. Though the furthest back any one magic user can go is only 24 hours. Said Chamo from atop of Setsuna's head. Well that's dull, Asuna said with a huff. No, Age of the Dinosaurs, then. I wanted to see a T-Rex. Said Negi. And I rather go back and kill all of the Megalomsembria Senate before they used Mom as a scapegoat. Naruto thought bitterly as his hand flexed into a fist and his nails drew some blood from the force he squeezed. Theodora saw this and grabbed his hand and squeezed it lightly knowing what he was thinking about. Naruto turned his head to Theo and she flashed him a smile and he returned it as he focused on the good and listened to Chamo about the watch. This action did not go unseen from the other girls in the vicinity. See, first, you set the time you want to go back to. So basically, the more time we go back the more magic you use. Naruto said as he admired the watch as it was a brilliant invention. Got in one, Naruto and Ikki. Now, everyone hold on to Negi and Ikki tight, Chamo said as everyone grabbed hold of Negi. Right then here we go, Negi proclaimed as the area started to shift around them. The group suddenly popped back to early that day. Hey, it's noon again, exclaimed Konoka. Think we could have picked a less crowded place too, muttered Setsuna as all the people around them gasped at their sudden appearance. I said it once and I'll say it again, magic is awesome. Asuna said. Well, me and Sparky here got stuff to do so, see ya. Announced Theo as she made a mad dash away from the group with Naruto in tow by his collar. The three girls just glared at her retreating form as she dragged their love interest away. 0 with our blonde duo 0. Naruto and Theo once again started to walk around the festival hitting the spots they missed during their first run-through of the day. You were thinking about that again, Theo stated with a glare. Naruto sighed, can you blame me? They used Mom as a scapegoat so they could rule when she was out there fighting and they sat on their asses. No, not really, just, don't do anything to Reckless, okay Sparky? Me Reckless, who do you think I am? Naruto Springfield, a trouble magnet of the highest quality. Ouch. Come on Sparky, we got stuff to do, Theo said as she ran ahead. Such a tomboy, Naruto muttered and a second later he was hit in the head by a rock from said tomboy. Damn, why do tomboys have such good aim? Naruto thought as another rock hit his head. I didn't say anything. You thought it. How'd she know? Muttered Naruto in shock. 0 Tournament Grounds 0. Naruto and Theo were walking to the Tatsumiya temple where the Mahora fighting tournament till they heard a certain perverted giggle. My, you two seem to fit together perfectly. Arika-sama would be so happy to see you two like this. Naruto and Theo turned around to see a man in a cloak with the hood up, Uncle Al pervert. Ouch, Theodora-sama that was rude and Naruto-kun please call me Kunal Sanders for this event. Not going to happen, Uncle Al, Naruto said with a grin. I call you that because it's true, Theo said with a glare. Al merely shrugged his shoulders, oh well, hope we end up fighting each other Naruto-kun as I'm curious to see how much stronger you've gotten. Naruto grinned wildly, you and I both know it would take your Pactio to beat me now. I may not be at your level with gravity magic, but I think my chances are solid. You are sounding too much like Nagi, Al said with a chuckle. You are doing it soon, right? Naruto asked with seriousness. Whatever do you mean? Al said cluelessly. Her seal, you perverted eggplant. Naruto growled. I believe Kitty is starting to rub off on you. I will be doing it during her first match. You're that confident that she'll make it, Theo asked. Al snorted. Naruto-kun trained her, if she didn't I'd eat my cloak. I would pay to see that. Both blondes thought with amusement. Well, I must be off. Don't let your hands wander you two, Al said as he disappeared before Theo could hit him. Just you wait perv, I'll get you for that, Theo shouted with a blush. Naruto's sweat dropped. Easy Theo-chan, remember your blood pressure. Theo bonked him on the head. I don't have high blood pressure you baka. Naruto blinked. Really, damn, and here I thought with me around you did. Theo just faced palmed. Just go in there and kick some ass for me, my knight. By your decree, Theodora-sama, Naruto said in a teasing tone and a mock bow. Walking through the crowd they saw Negi, Kotarou, Asuna, Kanoka, Setsuna, Yu, and Chamo around each other talking about the tournament. The blonde duo walked up to them. Hey guys, what cracking? Naruto said as he had one hand in his pocket and the other hand waved lazily at the group. Ni-san, master, exclaimed Negi and Kotarou. Naruto-kun, Kanoka said as she rushed to hug him. Naruto-san, Setsuna said with a nod. Hey blonde, you going for the prize money too? Asuna asked. Nope, got plenty of money. Just here to fight. Yep, cause that's what guys do. This is going to be all kinds of awesome, Kotarou said as he pumped his fist in the air. I am glad it's not scaled down, if only for the sake of you guys, Yu said as she sipped her juice. Ah, that's right, Kotarou said pointing at Yu, I'm going to show you the why I fight. It's not knowing about love, it's about fighting for what you want to protect. Kotarou said quoting one of his master's lines. And here I thought you were some hothead who just used his fists to solve his problems. Yu shot back. What's going on? Naruto muttered to Negi. Kotarou-kun and Yu-san were arguing earlier about reasons to fight. Yu-san said that one who doesn't know love could never gain true strength and Kotarou-kun is going by your philosophy. Of course Kota doesn't know about love Yu-chan, he's been alone his entire life, till now. Naruto thought in sadness remembering his first life. Yu-chan, Naruto said getting her attention, what happens to those who never knew about love? Yu blinked. Sensei. What about those who go their whole lives living alone without the warmth that is love? What Kota is trying to say is that if you have something so precious to you, be it a person, place, or ideal, as long as you wish to protect what you care for, you will truly be strong. A friend taught me that. Naruto smiled remembering Haku. Yu put her hand to her chin and thought about it. Now, Kotarou-kun, you know you oughtn't talk to an Oni-san like that, said the voice of Natsumi in a fairy outfit. Kotarou turned around. Uwah. Natsumi Ne-chan, what you are doing here? I didn't tell you about. Now I'm going to think you're not glad to see me. I even snuck out of my club too. Chizune should be here soon, Natsumi said. Really? Shouted the Hanyu. All of a sudden the loudspeaker went off. Competitors and spectators, through the entrance, please. Naruto looked who was speaking and saw Kazumi in a white dress that went to her knees with orange strips running up the sides with long white gloves and boots. He was contemplating on whether to compliment her or not just in case Theo was in one of her hitting moods. Welcome, students of Mahora, students from other schools, and anyone else who's here. Welcome to the return of the Mahora Fest Martial Arts Tournament. For you all to have made it here, on such short notice, well, folks, thanks, that's great. The reason, 10 million yen, it's a legendary martial arts tournament, folks, so, be sure to give it your best for the prize, and the honor. Let's start with a few words from the new sponsor to being the completion, the owner of Chao Baozi, the Academy's top brain, Chao Lingshan. Kazumi announced as Chao entered the stage in a Chinese dress. The reason I bought this tournament is for one reason and one reason only, whoever it is that's the strongest at this academy, I want to know it be they of the world of light, or the world of dark. And that is all. Until 20 years ago, this tournament was a place where people from the other world could show what they could do. She said in a chipper tone. Naruto and Theo narrowed their eyes knowing what she was talking about. With the advent of digital cameras and other media, however, entrants stopped using their full abilities, leading to smaller battles, smaller prizes, and smaller events overall. As of now, however, all that's changed. The Mahora Martial Arts Tournament is hereby revived. Projectile weapons and bladed weapons are forbidden. Further, incanted spells are also forbidden. Aside from that, however, feel free to use whatever technique you wish. She continued with a sly smile. So, that's your plan. Naruto thought as he was going to be planning a lot of things to counter Chao. I wouldn't be too concerned. In this day and age, unless they've photographic proof, no one'll believe it anyway. Electronic equipment is in place that disables all devices within the perimeter of the Tatsumiya Shrine, including cell phone cameras. Those of you from the world of dark, feel free to use your powers. Those of you from the world of light, all I ask is that you behold the true nature of true power and spread the word. That is all, Chao said. Well, seems things are getting interesting, said the voice of Mana. Naruto and the gang turned to see the twins, Mana, Kaide, and Kufei. Kaide and Mana started conversing with Negi. As the twins started playing with Kotarao's ears, Kufei just so happened to walk near Naruto. Nyo ho ho, hope you is ready sensei, me pay you back from last spar, Uru. Ku said as she had her hands hidden in her sleeves. Really now, how well has your key training going? That secret sensei, me can't tell you all I can do or you figure out way to beat me, Uru. Good strategy, but it will take a lot more than good control of ki to beat me. Me know that silly, still me try, Ku said with a grin and burning determination in her eyes. Can't wait, Naruto said as he returned the grin with his own. Hope you didn't forget about me. Well, booyah, idiot, Eva said as she walked up to the group in her Lolita outfit with Chachezero next to her. Master, Negi shouted in a panic. Idiot, I hope you didn't forget our promise, Eva said with a bit of pink dusting her cheeks. Sure, how could I? Naruto said with a smile. Eva huffed and folded her arms, good. Hello, having fun, said a gruff male voice. Hey, Takamichi, Negi exclaimed. Perhaps if you're entering, Negi-kun, so will I, Takamichi said with a smile. Wow Michi, way to make me feel insignificant, Naruto with a light glare. The older man laughed a bit, with what looked like embarrassment on his face as he scratched the back of his head. Forgive me Naruto-kun, but we both know that I stand no chance against you now. Maybe, but that doesn't mean we can't fight a bit just like old times, Naruto suggested with a smile. Maybe. Why would you be interested in something like this? Eva asked, making a shooing motion with her hand. Actually, I only meant to observe, but I made a promise to Negi-kun when he was smaller to match strength for strength once he'd grown. That's okay, Takamichi really. I'm still only training, and it's fine to put it off. Really? Negi shouted in a panic. Really, you sure? Takamichi asked in shock. Negi started to spiral into a depression state saying he didn't want to fight anymore. Kotarao just beat it out of him. Oh, that's right, one more thing, said the voice of Chao. Before this tournament started going downhill, the last great winner of this tournament was a child from a foreign land who just showed up at the academy one day. Nagi Springfield, he was called. At the time, he was only 10 years old. Father, Negi thought in shock. Those of you who know the name, let it encourage you further. Naruto stood a bit away from Negi and felt pride as he saw the fire in Negi's eyes. Looks like Chao knows how to get Negi. Interesting, Chao Lingshan, what else do you know? He thought in wonder. Zero time for violence, yeah violence. Zero. Naruto was currently standing in one of the rings designed to break down on the number of people in the tournament. He just stood in the middle of the ring with a bored look waiting for Kazumi to give the go-ahead. Sadly no one he knew was in his bracket. Ready, and go, Kazumi announced. Everyone in his group turned to him and attacked since it looked like he didn't have his guard up, idiots. Naruto's face changed into a shit-eating grin, or as he called it, Nagi mode. His father loved to fight and he did too, but he was smarter about it. A good skull bashing was fun every now and then though. Naruto just leapt over his opponents and started sending out kicks and punches like no tomorrow. Boring, to slow, here we go, there we go, Naruto said just to taunt the guys he was fighting. They took it with ease and he continued to beat them up. By the time he was done, which was under a minute, it was just him and the red-haired middle school girl mage from the meeting. You're Mei-chan? Naruto asked. Yes Naruto-sensei. Sorry about taking out all of them. I left none for you. It's okay sensei. Thank you for not going for me, she said with a bow. Bah, if I wanted to fight you, I would do it in an area where you could use your true skills. Best save them for later, right? Mei smiled. Yes sensei and thank you again. Naruto just waved her off and Kazumi's voice rang out, amazing. As expect from our school's blonde hottie, Naruto Springfield, beating his entire bracket in under a minute. I know who I got my money on, folks. Naruto shot Kazumi a smile and then looked over to Negi's bracket and saw his uncle watching Negi fight some guy with weird hair. Well done, everyone. With this, our 16 finalists are now determined. The main event starts tomorrow at 8 o'clock a.m. at the starting area of the Tatsumiya Shrine. Right, then, it's time to reveal the order in which the rounds will be fought, as determined by the tournament committee. And here it is. 0. Bracket A. Sakura Mei vs. Murakami Kitarao. Daiguin Pochi vs. Kunal Sanders. Nagase Kaide vs. Naruto Springfield. Tatsumiya Mana vs. Hu Fei. Bracket B. Tanaka vs. Takane D. Goodman. Negi Springfield vs. Takahata T. Takamichi. Kagurazaka Asuna vs. Sakurazaki Setsuna. Evangeline A.K. McDowell vs. Yamashita Kiichi. 0. I have to fight Takamichi. Negi shouted. 10 million yen or not, you're done. Chamo said on his shoulder. Naruto cracked his neck a bit and turned to Kaide. Hope you're ready, Kaide-chan, because I'm winning this. Naruto said with a predator glint in his eye. Kaide just nodded her head knowing this would be the toughest fight in her life. There's not much time, but, you wanna go practice? Kitarao asked, wanting to help his rival friend out. Yay, I'm going to need it, Negi said with tears cornering his eyes. Naruto stood there in the competitor's booth, waiting to watch the first fight of the tournament. While waiting, his mind was going through as many contingency plans as possible to stop Chao. His muses were broken by the sound of Kazumi's voice over the loudspeaker. We're just about to begin the Mahora Fest's martial arts tournament's very first match. Contestants Murakami Kitarao, the ninja boy and student of our very own Naruto Springfield, and junior high schooler Sakura Mei. Kitarao had been sporting a new look. It was a combat outfit his master had given him. He was wearing a black tank top that had yellow lining on the collar, a yellow ribbon that tied his ponytail, and long black sleeves that went from his wrists to his biceps, which had yellow lining at the edges. Black baggy pants that stopped just below his knees, and had long boots on that were dark blue and yellow, and on the tip of the boots were 3 claw-like marks on the front of them. Finally he wore a brown belt and had metal arm bracers that covered his forearm and knuckles. 1. Hey, aren't you that girl from that one time? Kitarao asked while pointing at her. Hello again, Mei muttered with a small bow of her head. Naruto watched as Takane D. Goodman started yelling at Negi about how he only caught her off guard and how she was going to beat him and such. He really wasn't listening. His only concern was if Kitarao would fight the girl. He still hadn't gotten him out of that habit yet. If he knows the girl is strong, he won't hold back, but if he doesn't, well, this match might prove to be insightful on how to train Kitarao for it. Match 1. Fight. Mei immediately pulled out a Pactio card and summoned her artifact, which was a broom. Naruto couldn't help but shake his head at the magical girl stereotype. Kitarao kept some distance as Mei started to flip around her broom skillfully. She's a girl and I can't hit girls. Damn, Master beat that into me that it was okay if it's a fight, but it still doesn't feel right, so if I can't hit her then maybe I can win without hitting her at all. Kitarao thought as he rushed at her and easily got under her guard and sent a palm strike to Mei's stomach. Mei in turn was sent flying into the air, screaming as she flailed her arms to stay airborne, but sadly it didn't work too well. That was some amazing speed from contestant Kitarao. Contestant Mei went flying. Is chivalry dead? Let's start the count. Kitarao waved her off. That was just blast of air, stupid. He turned the side of his head to look at the spot in the water surrounding the arena that Mei landed in. Sorry about that, but I got no time to be playing around. He finished with grin. I can't swim, Mei shouted as he flailed in the water. Kitarao's sweat dropped and quickly jumped in to rescue the redhead. And 10, that's the count. Not only has contestant Kitarao won, but the crowd is going wild from such a heartwarming rescue. Kitarao was talking to Mei as the group went to congratulate him. The Hanyu turned his head to see his master and Naruto gave a grin, which Kitarao returned knowing that was his master's message for, good job. Naruto watched as his uncle Al decimated his opponent while keep his mysterious motif. He couldn't help but roll his eyes. Our next match is number 3, our resident blonde hottie, the Yellow Flash himself, Naruto Springfield vs. Class 3A's Kunoichi, Nagase Kaide. Kaide took a deep breath to shake off her nerves and walked to the arena. She had on her Kunoichi outfit with her baggy purple pants and purple tank top. She looked at Naruto, who was walking to the arena as well, and felt the aura of sheer confidence around him. She knew this was going to be difficult. Naruto dono, she said with a small bow. Naruto nodded his head in her direction and smiled, hope you can keep up Kaide-chan. Naruto was of course going to limit himself for the fight, and scarily Kaide knew this, but how much? She didn't know. Naruto pulled out a piece of chalk and drew a small circle around him. Everyone gave him a strange look but he just smiled. Match 3. Start. Kaide moved as soon as Kazumi called for the start. She tried to get behind the blonde and go for a knockout shot with her foot connecting to his head in hopes of ending this as quickly as possible so the blonde couldn't fight back, but within a second he moved his hand faster than the eye could see and caught her foot without even moving from his spot and then threw her into the ground as she skidded along the arena's floor till she almost fell into the edge. Kaide looked and saw that his feet shifted a little in the circle. Was that the limitation, not moving from that circle? Well, she would have to prove him wrong and knock him out of it. 0 at the contestant booth 0. Kotarou grimaced, this is not good for Kaide-ne-chan. Why's that? Asked Asuna. Master has that look in his eyes, which is never good. He's obviously going to limit himself just to infuriate us or to see if he can do it. He's done this to me before, standing in one tiny circle and I was supposed to try and get him out of it. Did you, Kotarou-kun? Negi asked. Kotarou shook his head, nope, even with my powers he didn't ever leave it. 0 back to the fight 0. Kaide was dancing around Naruto and continued to attack him. Still, he countered everything she threw at him and he didn't even move. Kaide panted and spoke, well Naruto dono, it seems like I'll have to pull out all the stops to get you out of that circle. Naruto hummed at her, yep, cause this is your test. Prove to me you have what it takes to move me from this spot. Then I will, she shouted as she formed 3 cage bunshin and each of them in her, positioned themselves around Naruto. Kaide Ninpu 4-body clone Hazy Cross. Kaide said as she and her clones charged ki in their hands and charged at him from all 4 directions at great speed. Upon impact, Naruto moved swiftly in the tiny space he had and took out each clone and sent a palm thrust into Kaide's gut and sent her flying across the arena once again. She quickly recovered while holding her gut in pain. She turned her head to Kazumi who had gasped and pointed at Naruto's feet. It seems whatever limitation contestant Naruto had given himself had been pushed. Lo and behold, it was true. The back of his right foot was out of the circle by 1 centimeter. Naruto grinned at Kaide. Well Kaide-chan, it seems you pass, so here is your reward, a taste of some of my true strength. Kaide immediately got on guard but that didn't help her as Naruto easily got under it and kicked her in the ribs and she once again was skidding along the arena floor. She coughed violently as Naruto was behind her now as he grabbed her collar and threw her in the air. Naruto vanished from the ground and was on top of her again and threw a magically enhanced lightning fist into her gut and she was sent soaring into the ground. Everyone was shocked by the display of power. Kazumi quickly got out of her awe, and contestant Kaide is down, time to start the count, 1, 2, 3, 4. Naruto walked up to Kaide's prone form and looked at her. Oh, he had ideas on how to get her stronger, she just had to wait a bit. Ku would also have to pass her test also, but either way those two would get stronger. And 10. The winner is contestant Naruto. Naruto picked Kaide up fireman style and brought her to the infirmary. It was going to be a bit till she woke up after all so he went to see Ku-Fei's match. In this corner, we have last year's Ultima Hora champion, Ku-Fei. And in the other corner, we have the Tatsumiya Shrine's only daughter, Tatsumiya Mana. Match 4. Fight. As soon as those words rang, Ku hit straight in the forehead and was sent sailing with a skid across the arena floor. The only thing that could be seen was a 500 yen coin bouncing around the spot she was previously at. Mana was using a technique known as Rockinson, the flicking of a coin at high speed. Kazumi starts the count and just reaches 9 as Ku spins and jumps to her feet in a crouch. Mana flicks her wrists and piles of coins neatly stacked together gather in her hands and sends them fly at Ku-Fei. The blonde-haired Chinese girl dodges each shot quickly and gracefully, but she seemed unable to get close to her opponent. Ku, in a burst of speed, got right into Mana's guard and went for an elbow strike and pivoted her leg in between Mana's to limit the gunslinger's movements. Sadly, Mana flicked another coin right into Ku-Fei's chin and sent her flying. As Ku hit the ground she had no time to recover and Mana continued her assault and nailed Ku in the forehead once more, causing blood to flow down her face and was firing at her at the rest of her body. Ku laid there on the ground and started into the competitor's booth. Ku Shisho, you can do this, shouted Negi encouragingly, but Ku's focus wasn't on him but on Naruto. She didn't want to lose in front of him. If she won, they could fight once again and she could show what she had learned. As Mana launched one last volley at Ku, the Chinese girl jumped up and used her cloth belt and whipped it around, blocking the shots aimed at her and flung it at Mana, catching the Shrine Maiden's hand and neck. Ku went on the offensive in hopes of winning and Mana shot another coin and ripped the cloth binding her and each were dodging each other's attacks. Mana hit Ku right in her right forearm and even Naruto gave a small wince as that one sounded like it broke something. Ku caught Mana's arm once more and pulled her in for her finally attack. Ku's palm landed right on Mana's stomach and Mana's shot hit Ku's in her stomach. Ku fell to her knees with her palm still in place and launched a blast of ki into Mana. The result was instantaneous. The force of the attack ripped apart the back section of Mana's clothes and she fell, face first into the arena floor. 10. The winner is contestant Ku Fei. Naruto watched as Ku Fei was swarmed by the group and complimented her on her victory. She turned to see Naruto smiling at her as he mouthed, "Great match," to her. 0 Infirmary 0. Ku Fei was pouting due to the fact that the doctor had told her that she couldn't fight in the next match due to her broken arm. Now Ku-chan, we can't let you not fight, it just wouldn't be the same without you," Naruto said as he walked into the infirmary with the hooded Kunal. "Blonde, there you are," Asuna exclaimed. "But doctors say no can fix, Uru," Ku said as a depression cloud formed over her head. "Like I said, no worries Ku-chan, I really want to fight you and my friend here is going to patch you up," Naruto said as he patted Kunal on the shoulder. "And what do I get out of this Naruto-kun?" Kunal asked. Naruto grinned and pulled out an envelope from his cloak. "Why, the newest blackmail photos of our favorite kitty, of course," he said as he waved it back and forth. Kunal hummed, "You drive a hard bargain Naruto-kun, but you have a deal," he said as he snagged the envelope and hid it in his cloak. He walked towards Ku and she was enveloped in a magical glow and her wounds healed in record time. Ku flexed her fist and smiled, "Thank you, Uru," as she gave Kunal a small bow. Kunal waved her off. "No need to thank me, miss, I already got my reward," he said with a small giggle and he walked out of the medical tent. Naruto looked at Kotaro, who was staring at his future opponent's retreating form with a calculating look. Ku pumped her fist in the air. "This great, me fight with sensei now, Uru." "How do you know that man Ni-san?" Negi questioned. Naruto shrugged. "I know a lot of people Negi, when you do the stuff I do, you just meet people," he said as he too left the medical tent. Negi's sweat dropped. "That didn't even answer my question," he mumbled at his brother's retreating form. 0 Back at the arena 0. Naruto jumped on the rooftop to see both Theodora and his uncle Al sitting down and watching the match of Takane D. Goodman. Theo turned to him and grinned impishly. "Nice fight there Sparky, think you broke the poor ninja girl's ribs enough?" Naruto snorted. She saw what it was like fighting someone far stronger than her. Now she'll try to get even stronger and may even seek my help. "Is that your plan Naruto-kun?" Al asked. "Yep. The winner is contestant Takane." Naruto gave a laugh as the girl had won her match. "I'll bet she was half naked now." Match 6 is up next folks. In this corner, we have the man that installs fear into all delinquents on campus, guidance counselor Takemichi T. Takahata. And in the other corner, we have the child teacher, the infamous younger brother of Naruto Springfield, Negi Springfield. And fight. As soon as Kazumi announced the start, Negi shundoed behind Takahata and went to strike, just as Takahata went for a punch to the face and Negi shundoed again as he went for an overhand chop which Takahata blocked. Negi then followed up with an elbow strike and hit Takahata in the stomach, which the child mage followed up with a magically enhanced lightning fist and sent Takahata skidding a few feet. The fight continued and Naruto had a frown growing on his face, Negi using such terrible tactics, ones that would get him killed in the future if he used them, and he was now on the defensive for the rest of the fight. It seems as Takemichi was getting serious. Takemichi slow raised his hands, magic in his left and ki in his right. He was familiar with this, he had sparred with Takemichi a number of times as he used this power, Kenka. The next thing Negi knew, the spot next to him exploded, and it looked like a cannon had hit the arena floor. The next few minutes were just that of Negi dodging in pure fear of the power Takemichi was wielding. Then finally, Takemichi hit Negi. The impact of the hit practically knocked him out. Kazumi rushed the stage and started to panic over Negi and was about to declare Takemichi the winner when Takemichi asked Negi a question, seeing as Negi started to wake up. "You give up, then? You care no more about this?" he asked the boy. Asuna was trembling at what she was seeing and started to shout, "Negi! What are you doing, stupid? Get up already!" Negi-sensei, hang in there, shouted Nodoka. Naruto started to grin. Negi was starting to stand, a bit shaky, but he was standing. Negi got into a stance as magical aerospheres surrounded him. He then charged forward with 9 glowing orbs, but was hit at the chin by one of Takahata's knees. The child was sent spiraling into the water. Negi jumped out of the water and landed on a lamp post. Takemichi, this is where it ends. Negi declared loud enough for everyone to hear. Very well, I accept that challenge. This next exchange will be our last. Takahata replied with a smile. As they spoke, more orbs began to appear around Negi. The child mage then jumped and had the orbs of lightning converge on one spot and used his entire body as bullet and shot forward. Takahata attacked with one of his stronger punches, but Negi broke through it with a shield he constructed at the last second, making him as able to ram into Takahata. When the two collided, the arena was filled with smoke. Standing behind Takahata was Negi, with more orbs floating behind him, a delay spell most likely. Negi delivered a heavy blow with all 9 orbs. Takahata was then on the floor, sprawled out on the floor. That was amazing. Contestant Negi had hit contestant Takahata with some kind of glowing super punch. The 15 minutes in this match are up, and it is over. The winner is contestant Negi. Naruto's smile grew. Good, he still has a long way to go, but he seems to be progressing at a decent pace. Naruto commented, even though Michi let him win. Naruto walked down to see how Negi was and came upon the sight of Eva stepping on his head, talking about how Takemichi had let him win. Negi, you look like crap. Naruto commented in a teasing tone. Eva turned to him. Idiot, tell this moron that Takemichi let him win. She demanded. Yep, it's pretty much true. With his experience and training he beats you in that alone, not to mention he could have ending the whole thing from the get-go, and he could have capitalized his offensive when you were in that state of fear. Naruto continued to list the ways Takemichi could have beaten him, and Negi deflated more and more. Eva had been grinning at how the older brother beat down the younger's ego. Good, best not for him to get a swollen head. Still, Negi Bozu did good, give credit when credit due. Said the healed Ku Fei. Eva glared at the Chinese girl. Shut up. Who asked you? 0 flashback 0. A chibi Asuna was sitting on a pier, kicking her leggings in the air as she stared at the ocean and was a few feet away from a young Takemichi and his master. They seemed to practicing Kenka. On the right. Whoa. Takemichi shouted as his Kenka fluxed out of control. No, Takemichi, listen, clear your mind. At this rate, it's gonna take you another 5 years. Scolded his master. Gee, got it, the young apprentice said in embarrassment. Yo, Asuheim, shouted a voice in the distance. She turned to see a chibi Naruto with Nagi, Aishin, and Alberio. Hiya, how are we today, little Princess Chan? Asked Nagi. Nagi-san, everyone, good morning, said Takemichi as he stood up. Time to eat, huh, mumbled his master. Takemichi, we'll stop with the san already. Just call me Nagi. Takemichi is too much of a stiff to do that. Chibi Naruto commented with a grin, which everyone laughed too. What were you doing? Asked Nagi. I was having Gato-san train me a bit, mumbled Takemichi as he scratched the back of his head. On the left, magic, on the right, he, mumbled Chibi Asuna as Kenka came to life in her hands. Hey, shouted Takemichi in indignation at seeing this. Ha ha ha, she'll leave you behind soon, Takemichi-kun. Said Aishin as he patted Takemichi on the shoulder. Wow, that's our little Princess Chan, all right. Said a shocked Nagi. Chibi Naruto snorted. Please, Asuheim is all kinds of awesome. He said as he walked next to Chibi Asuna and threw an arm around her shoulder, grinning at her then the rest of all Arubra. She'll make a fine ministra at this rate, commented Alberio. Ha ha, how about it, sweetheart? Want to be my partner? Asked Gato. Chibi Naruto sent a light glare at Gato and Chibi Asuna shook her head. She pulled out a Pactio card of herself and had it cover her mouth as she had a light dust of pink on her cheeks. I'm already Naru-kun's partner. She said in a low tone, but had a small smile on her adorable face as she hid it behind the card. Chibi Naruto threw a victorious grin at Gato. Gato whistled. Seems that Naruto's already becoming a ladies' man. He teased. Chip of the old block. Nagi said with a laugh. Both Chibi Naruto and Chibi Asuna blushed, but Chibi Asuna snuggled closer to Chibi Naruto and hugged him, showing that she chose him. 0 End of Asu Naru Love Fest 0. Asuna smiled at the memory she just had after seeing Takahata's Kenka. She placed her hands in a similar way she did in the flashback, on the left, magic, on the right, ki. She mumbled and Kenka sparked in her hands slightly. She gave a big smile, just another thing she would have to train in and maybe a small edge she can use on Setsuna in their match. She knew Setsuna had her beat in swordplay right now, but this was a test, to show how much she had learned in front of Naruto and show that she could stand with him and not need to be protected. She and Setsuna had gotten changed into some cute maid outfits and were embarrassed at their attire. As they came out of the dressing room they meet up with Eva, Kufei and a now awake Kaide. Kagurazaka seems set on winning Setsuna, even with all that training with the idiot, she thinks she has a chance against you. Show her what's what, stated Eva. Stammered Setsuna. FHN, that mightn't be true you know. Said a voice behind Eva. The chibi vamp turned to see the hooded Kunal standing next to Asuna and extended his hand and ruffled her hair. Asuna pulled back in surprise at the action. It can't be, not, you? Asked a shocked Eva. FHN, even with you right here before me, I can hardly believe it. For one who was once so like a doll, to have blossomed into such a fine, young woman, you seemed blessed with many friends, as well. Gato Kagura Vandenberg seemed to have made the right decision by leaving you with Takamichi-kun, after all. Kunal said. Gato-san, asked as she remembered the name a little bit. FHN, seems you're remembering more and more Asuna-chan, that's good, Naruto-kun will be happy. Remembering more and, you are going to get rid of it? Asuna asked with hope in her voice. Kunal smiled under his hood. I think it's time for little Princess Chan to return to her loyal knight, don't you? He asked in a teasing manner. Asuna gave a beautiful smile, yeah. Just remember to keep your mind clear. And to focus magic to my left and ki to my right. Asuna said with a grin as she finished for him. FHN, as expected from you Asuna-chan, no doubt from Naruto-kun's influence. Hey you, what are you doing here? I've been trying to find you for a long time. And just how do you know Kagurazaka? Yelled Evangeline. He disappeared just then. Who was that Eva Dono? Asked Kaide. He's a friend of the idiot's and Booya's father. His name is Al. It's Kunal Sanders here, please just call me Kunal. Al asked as he reappeared behind the group. Answer my questions, roared Eva. Why of course I know Asuna-chan, after she is Naruto-kun's first partner. He said in a teasing manner. This just infuriated Eva even more. Good luck Asuna-chan, I'm rooting for you, he said as he disappeared again. Match 7 is about to start. Contestants please enter the arena. Asuna and Setsuna entered the arena and each held their weapons for this match. Asuna was using her Steel Horizon and Setsuna was using a broom infused with ki. Match 7, fight. Clear my mind, magic in my left and ki in my right. Asuna thought as her face became blank and wisps of white energy surrounded her. She charged at Setsuna and went for an overhead slash and Setsuna blocked. They each continued their dance as the audience watched in amazement. 0 in the contestant booth 0. How, where did Kagurazaka get this boost of speed and power from? Asked a shocked Eva. FHN, she's just using what she's had all along. Commented Kunal as he reappeared next to Eva. Eva then remembered that Al touched Asuna's head, so that's it, you no good. You did something to her, didn't you? Yelled Eva. How about a little wager, Evangeline? What, if it is a bet, what's on the line? Information regarding Asuna-chan. Please, like she even has a chance against Sakurazaki. Then you agree, you'll do it, he asked. Let's see, when Miss Shinmei's school, out there does face her inevitable defeat, you have to wear this school-issued swimsuit in your next match. Al proclaimed while holding a school swimsuit with the name, Eva, on the label. Now wait a second, the hell, yelled Eva. Eva heard a snort and turned to see Naruto grinning at her, is the Dark Evangel really going to back out of a bet? He said in a teasing manner. Eva's mouth went wide. Naruto, Asuna shouted as she looked in his direction. Naruto turned to see Asuna grinning, not unlike himself or his father, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how much stronger I've gotten and how I'm going to be your partner no matter what. She declared. Now there is a bold confession, Kazumi said with a twinge of jealousy. Asuna blushed atomic red, but didn't deny it. Well Asuna-chan, I think it's time we amp up the power a bit to show Naruto-kun what you can do. Said the voice of Kunal in Asuna's head. Asuna smiled, Yeah, but I'm going to do it on my own if you don't mind. She thought back. FHN, not at all, I eagerly await what you can do, Asuna-chan. Al said as he cut the line. Asuna's kanka flared to an even higher level as she stared at Setsuna in a serious way. Let's do this, Setsuna-san. She said as she charged at the winged swordswoman. Please do, Setsuna answered back. Zero back with Eva, Al, and Naruto zero. Ya, Setsuna, what the hell are you? Defeat Kagurazaka. Now, you got 5 seconds. Strike that, kill her. Eva yelled she would not wear that degrading thing, especially not in front of the idiot. What say we up the wager, Evangeline? What? Say some information on the Thousand Master. Eva blushed a bit, but looked at Naruto. Well, are you in? Eva growled, of course I'm in. What do you think? Very well then. Then you must wear cat ears, glasses, and a sailor uniform, but just the top, he. Al said with a creep glint in his eye. Will you stop that? Roared Eva, she contemplating the costs of this match in her head. I can hardly wait, can you? Al asked in his usual teasing way. Who asked you? She yelled. Truly Alberio can get under her skin. Asuna continued to lay down the pressure, as each of her strikes were fast and powerful. Setsuna knew Asuna had gotten better, but this. She was on the defensive most of the time due to Asuna's powerful onslaught. Hurry up and beat her. Defeat is not an option. Don't you lose, you hear me? Don't you dare put me in that situation. Eva yelled at Setsuna. If you do lose all, I will make you suffer an equal, no. Make that an even greater embarrassment than me. I will see to it that your precious Oju-sama, see if I don't. Eva finished the sentence as a dark aura engulfed her and was sweating like crazy. Alberio started chanting, it was time. Just as Setsuna sent a Zenkusen air cleaver flash at Asuna, she clenched her head in pain. Zero inside Asuna's mind. Zero. So, Takamichi, got a light? Asked the gruff voice of Gato. Takamichi did as asked and his master inhaled and exhaled. Damn, that's good. He muttered. It was just him, Takamichi, and Chibi Asuna in a little clearing inside a forest. A little blood was dribbling out of his mouth as he sat against a rock. Now go. Leave this to me, he said, then turned to Chibi Asuna. What's wrong, little lady? Not crying, are you? Only time you did that was when Naruto had to go with Nagi. Good to see. Master, muttered a young Takamichi. Takamichi about her memory. Be sure and erase the parts about me. Master, what are you saying? Takamichi shouted. It's nothing the little lady needs to hold on to. No, Naru-kun's gone, Nagi's gone too, and now you, no. Asuna said as she started to cry and she grabbed Gato's hand. Gato gave a small grunt and patted her head and stared into her eyes. Be happy, little lady, for me. You've the right, you know. Gato-san, no, please don't leave me, Asuna shouted with tears. Zero back at the arena. Zero. Everything was coming back to her, her treatment, the way they used her as a weapon, when she was rescued, falling in love with a spiky blonde-haired boy with her eyes, the happiness of becoming his partner, the pain of him leaving, and the pain of losing a loved one. Her eyes dilated and she blocked Setsuna's attack with her artifact in its sword form. Tears were pouring down her eyes. She forgot about her Naru-kun, the promise they made. She had to be strong for him, she had to. Whoa, Asuna, that thing isn't allowed, shouted Kazumi over the mic in a panic. I need to be strong, to stand with him, I need to be strong. Asuna roared as she continued to attack Setsuna. Setsuna tried to block her attacks, but Asuna cut her broom in half. She was just dodging the redhead's attacks by an inch. Quickly, Setsuna got into Asuna's guard and performed a spiraling throw and knocked Asuna to the ground. Contestant Asuna is down. The judges say it's real, folks, which means contestant Setsuna wins. Asuna groaned. Setsuna-san. I don't, she mumbled. You all right, Asuna-san? Setsuna asked. Asuna kept apologizing to Setsuna till the avian Hanyu flicked her in the forehead saying it was okay. Naruto turned to see Eva strangling his godfather for admitting that he was only trying to get the Chibipire to lose it. It was time for the 8th match now. Naruto felt so sorry for the guy facing Eva. Match 8. Fight. It didn't even last a second. One punch in the gut by Eva and that dude was down. Naruto laughed when Eva said she was lost in thought and didn't even bother trying. Eva looked up in the sky and smiled. Nagi is alive somewhere, mostly likely. Somewhere, out there, Nagi lives and, that, I guarantee. Alberio had told her. So, you are out there somewhere, it's too bad you aren't here Nagi, your oldest is doing what I've been trying for 15 years. And when I'm free, I'm going to find you with your oldest, since he is my ministra, just you wait Nagi. She thought grinning. Alright everyone, the first round is over so now we got the quarterfinals next. 0. Bracket A. Murakami Katarao vs. Kunal Sanders. Naruto Springfield vs. Hu Fei. Bracket B. Takane D. Goodman vs. Negi Springfield. Sakurazaki Setsuna vs. Evangeline A.K. McDowell. 0. Before the second round begins, there will be a 20-minute intermission. Naruto appeared next to Asuna and the gang and he then disappeared with her. He then reappeared with No the roof Theo was watching the tournament at. Asuna looked at Naruto and gave him the biggest hug she could and cried into his chest, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. She kept repeating. Shish, it's okay now Asu-chan, you're back and that's all that matters. Said Naruto as he hugged back. Theo huffed, is the love fest over yet? She asked with irritation. Asuna turned and glared at her lightly with teary eyes. Now, play nice you two, he said as he raised his hands. Whatever, Theo mumbled as she sipped the wine in her hand. You two, no doubt have some talking to do. I got to go see the puppy about his next match, he said as he disappeared again. There was an awkward silence between the two till Asuna spoke, so, how does that taste? She asked timidly, as she never really had wine before. Theo grinned, it's really good, but why not skip the small talk and say what needs to be said, yay. Asuna hugged her legs as she sat near the older girl, I like him, so much I like him. He was the only boy near my age I knew after Alirubra rescued me. He made me laugh and he taught me things about the world, the things I was denied during my childhood. I guess it wasn't really hard to fall for him was it? She asked. No, you got a point, Sparky's got that air around him, that just makes you got to like him, be he a goof, a flirt, or an idiot, you gotta love him. Guess that's what got me too, Theo said taking another sip of wine. You know that other girls like him, right? Peef, of course, he has an entire fan club back in the magical world, you know. What? Shouted Asuna in distress. Oh yes, fangirls, but I keep them away, they know not to mess with me. Asuna wiped her brow, good. So what do you want to do about this? Fight till one of us finally gets him. We could, share, Kanoka already said this to me and it's like she made an alliance with me, Setsuna-san, and herself to get Naru-kun. Aishin's daughter, right, wow, he had a kid, that guy was the most stuffed up guy you could find, must have been one hell of a woman. Theo commented with a giggle. So, you in or not? We'll have a trail run first, then see where we go from there. Oh and don't be so surprised if Eva makes a move on him. The tanned beauty said. What, why? She likes him, he is so much like Nagi at times and yet he's not. He's getting rid of her seal also, so you can throw in a bit of hero worship too. Oh and his absolutely sexy ass. I'm just surprised she hasn't jumped him yet, Theo said with a shrug. 0 back at the contestant booth 0. Katarao was walking to the arena when he was his master. Kota. Master, Katarao said with a curt nod. You do know that you're not going to win, right? Katarao sighed, yay, I could tell as I was watching him earlier. He's about your level, I'm guessing. Good instinct. But if I can get one solid hit on him, I know I've improved. The dog Hanyu said as he clenched his fists. Good, start small, and then build your way up. Good luck. Yay, I'll need it. Match 1 of the quarterfinals is underway folks. Each fighter got into their respected corners and waited for the call. Fight. Kunal started the match by knocking Katarao away with a punch to his face, sending him flying across the arena. Katarao quickly readjusted himself in midair and landed in a crouch. You are Katarao-kun, correct? You seem keen on fighting Negi-kun in the final, but, sadly that is not to be. You think I don't know that? You're at master's level, you are far above Takamichi-san, and so if I can get one solid hit on you, I know I did well enough. Katarao retorted with a smirk. FHN, it seems Naruto-kun is teaching you well. I'm intrigued to see what else he taught you, Kunal said. Katarao felt a quick shift in the air and shundo to the left, just in time to dodge a gravity blast, crushing the spot he was just at. Kunal blinked. Well, that's new. Ha, Master has hit me with those things so many times, I've learned to feel for any slight shifts in my body's gravity, that I move away on instinct. Kunal shrugged. Well, I'll just have to do it faster then, wouldn't I? Wah, said Kotarao with a slack jaw. Kotarao-kun, if Naruto-kun was able to do it too and he knows me, what would that mean? Al asked in a sarcastic way, which went over Kota's head. That UT taught him that. Oh, crap, the puppy responded and thought. Good boy, here's a treat. Kota's eye twitched at the dog analogy. Al raised one finger and flicked it towards himself. Kotarao felt his entire body be drawn to Kunal and was sent flying in his opponent's direction. Kunal followed up with an uppercut to the Hanyu's stomach and followed up with a backhand to the face, sending Kotarao into the water. Kotarao landed on top of the water and wiped his mouth of the blood that was coming out. You're good, but Master hits way harder than you do, so your love taps don't really hurt. Kotarao made 6 cage buncheons and charged with them. Kunal quickly and easily disposed of them, and Kota took this chance and charged up his Inagami in his fist, Kwanbaku-saiken. Howling burst knuckle and slammed it right into Kunal's barrier. Kotarao kept pushing, but he realized that his opponent's barrier was too powerful. Kunal capitalized on this and grabbed the boy by the neck and slammed him into the ground hard, cracking the arena floor. Da damn, Kotarao chalked out. Don't blame yourself, you're still young and have time to grow. I just happen to be the better man today. Not why yet, no way in hell, and not yet. Kotarao yelled as he forced himself up and shundoed back to the edge of the arena. When in doubt, do something stupid, the boy shouted as he crouched down and removed his weight seals on his legs, burning the paper away. He activated the charms on his arm bracers and bandage warping spit out from under them. They were about 5 feet in length each. Kotarao got into the Goken stance and faced Kunal. The lotus blooms twice, he said in a low tone. The boy disappeared and was right under Kunal and aimed to kick him in the chin. Kunal thought the boy wouldn't get past his barrier, but the boy's kick had gone through it, sending him airborne. Kotarao pumped ki all along his body and disappeared again, right behind the airborne Kunal. The writing on the bandages started to glow and wrapped around the hooded man tightly. Kotarao twisted the position in the air and started to head downwards head first. The boy then started to rotate, faster and faster he went. As they were about to land, Kotarao shouted, "Primary Lotus." He let go of Kunal a second before touching the ground and skidded across the floor by a few feet as Kunal slammed into the floor, hard. The audience was stunned speechless after that display. Kotarao was panting hard, trying to gulp in as much air as he could. That attack took a lot out of him. FHN, that was one of Naruto-kun's techniques, no. Very well displayed, Kotarao-kun, said a voice in the dust cloud that was kicked up on Kunal's landing. Kotarao's eyes widened as he saw Kunal walk out of the dust cloud with nothing more than some dirt spots on his cloak. Well, I think I should end this, but I'm curious, how did you get past my barrier? He asked with much interest. Master let me test one of his new charms, a barrier breaker charm, but the downside is that it drains you like no tomorrow. Kotarao tried to finish. He fell back and started to snort lightly, being completely wiped out. I believe contestant Kotarao is out like a light. The winner of match 1 of the quarter-finals is Kunal Sanders. Naruto walked onto the arena and hefted Kotarao over his shoulder fireman style. You did good, puppy. Bet Uncle Al's going to have a bruise on his chin, but he'll hide it by healing it up, but know that you got your hit. The blonde said as he walked to the infirmary. Zero infirmary 0. Kotarao groaned. Ow, my head hurts. He mumbled. Of course it hurts you, Baka, but you did good, pup, you did good. Naruto said. Oh, Kotarao-kun, you're awake, said Chizuru. Huh, Chizuru-ne-chan. The boy asked. You did really great out there, you were so strong, I was shocked. Chizuru said. Kotarao laid back down and sighed. Did I do it, master? Yep, right in the chin, Yagaki. Kotarao started to laugh and pumped his fist. Awesome, just you wait, master, I'll be just as tough as you soon. Naruto bumped his fist with Kotarao's. You still got a long way to go, Kota. Yay, just get in a good punch for me, master. The Hanyu said as he scratched the back of his head. I will, heal up fast, Kota, so you can watch my match with him. You'll be getting a sneak peek at what you're going to learn later on. Naruto stated. Kotarao's eyes widened at that. You got it. Good, Naruto said as he left. 0 Arena Floor 0. Match 2 of the quarter-finals in underway. Contestant, please, enter the arena. Naruto and Kufei entered the arena. This match is going to be a big one, folks. We have contestants, Kufei and Naruto Springfield. Match 2. Fight. Naruto settled into the Juken stance and waited for Kufei to come to him. They circled the arena for a few moments till Ku launched the first attack and went for an elbow strike to Naruto's stomach. He spun around it and went for a backhand hit to Ku's neck, which she blocked and quickly crouched down and went for a low kick. Naruto jumped over the kick and landed a few feet away, and Ku was already there in a second, going for a palm thrust that was infused with ki. Naruto bent back, avoiding the hit, and elbowed the forearm of the attacking arm, causing her to hiss a bit from the power behind it and flip back about 7 feet. Naruto's face was showing a grin as he fought with her, and she returned it. This was fun to Kufei, to fight an opponent that would push her past her limits and beyond. Naruto charged at her and went for a roundhouse kick to her face, which she ducked just in time from the speed it was going at. Ku countered with a punch to the side of his ribs, which he caught and twisted her arm behind her head and grabbed her other arm. Ku escaped by going for a headbutt from the back of her head to Naruto's face, which he jumped back from and kicked her in the back, sending her skidding across the floor. Ku recovered and dashed at him and jumped and went for a punch. Naruto had caught it, and she continued with a kick to his head, which he caught as well and spun her in the air and sent her sailing into the railing with an overhead kick. Ku felt the air leave her as she met with the railing and coughed violently. "You, cough. Doing great, sensei. Me going to try. Cough. Even harder, Uru," she proclaimed. Naruto smiled at her tenacity. "Then get up, Ku-chan. I want you to try your hardest." Kufei nodded and charged again. The same thing kept happening. Naruto would counter anything she tried, and she would try to dodge his attacks, but they seemed to be going faster and faster. It went even more downhill when Naruto decided to start using ki in his attacks. Ku was breathing hard and fell to her knees. She stared up at Naruto with her blurry vision and smiled. "Why, you really good, Uru." "Me won't stop," thought. She shouted, and she stood up and got into a stance. She breathed in and then breathed out, focusing on her ki and trying to spread it throughout her entire body, and then she disappeared. Naruto turned around and saw her, with the image of a tiger behind her. A large amount of ki was building up in her hand, and she released it. Bakuretsu Sun K. Exploding impact wave. A giant wave of ki blew up in Naruto's face at point blank. The dust cloud from the attack died down. There was Naruto, with his arms in an X position. There were scorch marks on his arms, as his sleeves are destroyed from the attack. The floor of the arena behind him was turned over and destroyed. Nice one, Ku-chan, you pass. He really strong, Uru. Me happy choosing him. Thank you, Uru, she said as she passed out from using so much ki. Well, contestant Kufei seems to be down and out. That means the winner is Naruto Springfield. Naruto picked up Kufei bridal style and carried her to the infirmary and sent a look to his godfather to follow. 0 Infirmary 0. Naruto placed Ku in the bed next to Kotarao. The Hanyu cracked his eyes open a bit and whistled. "You really know how to give a beating, don't you, master?" he said in a snarky tone. Naruto gave his apprentice a flat look. "Just for that I'm doubling your train when you're back on your feet," he said in a menacing tone. Kotarao gulped and closed his eyes again to rest before his Tortu training. Alberio entered the room just then. "Well, Mr. Puppy, how are we feeling?" "Oh," you could literally taste the condescending tone in his voice. Kotarao gave a small growl. "Just you wait till I'm done trainin' and you'll so get it." Yes, now I have to fix this girl again. I must say she must be a bit of a masochist streak to keep getting beat up like this. Looks like you got a winner, Naruto-kun," his uncle said in a perverted tone. Naruto just bopped him on the head. "Shut it, you perverted eggplant." Al faked a painful express and rubbed his head. "Ow, Naruto-kun, you're so mean to me, and you were such a nice boy when you were younger. Now let me see your arms," his godfather commanded. Looks like his white mage status was still in his system from his days in Alarubra. Naruto rolled his eyes as Al healed his arms and fixed his shirt sleeves with magic. "There now, would you like a lollipop with that?" he asked in a teasing tone. "No thanks." "And contestant Negi Springfield has won this match," rang the voice of Kazumi in the medic room. "Wow, that was fast," Naruto commented with a blink. "Indeed," Al said in agreement. 0 Arena Floor 0. The final match of the quarter-finals is here, people. Please welcome Sakurazaki Setsuna and Evangeline A.K. McDowell. Naruto watched the match and a frown was coming to his face. He could hear the things Eva was saying to Setsuna, and honestly it was pissing him off. Finally, after Eva strung up Setsuna with her wires, she started to belittle her and talk about why she was outcasted from her flock due to her white wings being a taboo. He lost it. Eva, that is enough. You do not have the right to say that. Continue with what you are saying and I will not show you mercy. Naruto yelled from his spot in the contestant booth next to Asuna, who had come down after her talk with Theodora and Negi, who was watching the match while holding Asuna back from jumping in. Yeah, he's right, Baka Eva-chan. Asuna yelled. Eva tiesped and stared into Setsuna's eyes. After that, Negi started to chant and he and Asuna seemed to have entered the realm. Eva drew Setsuna in. Naruto pulled out Setsuna's pactio she made with him and started talking to her. Sei-chan, don't listen to her, okay? But, Setsuna muttered through her thoughts. But nothing. Everyone deserves happiness, you and Eva both. Just remember all the fun you had with me, Asu-chan, and Kono-chan, playing, training, and just laughing. You used to hold your emotions in, but now you're like a soaring bird, free from the cage she locked herself in. Never forget that, Naruto told her. Setsuna started to tear up. You're right. Duh, now show Eva what you got. Hi. Naruto removed the card from his head and smiled when Setsuna broke free from her bindings and smacked Eva with her broom, sending the chibi down on her back. He saw Asuna and Negi running up to Eva with Setsuna, once she was announced the winner and the avian was thanking Eva. Naruto pulled out his pactio he made with Eva and said, sorry for yelling at you, Eva-chan, but even you deserve happiness.